YouTube, we're still here. Still Brian Phillips. Okay, so these wings need to get onto that plane. Obviously the fuse is basically built. We have all these wires landed together, and they were landed together for testing. I believe we already showed that. We did show that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Several.
Yeah, we showed the sequence of everything running.
Yeah, we did.
So if you didn't see that, just scroll back in the video and you'll see when we were putting these together, we do share that. So by the way, this is gonna be a long video. So all I can say is it's what you asked for.
Thanks.
Not you. Them. So we're glad you guys like the long format video.
Yes, we are glad you like that.
Well, otherwise we wouldn't be anything super special, that's for sure. This is an extraordinarily long video. It's longer than the PT-17 video, but it's not longer than the build. The build, I still think this build went quicker than the PT-17.
Yeah.
Okay, so just full disclosure, all those Y cables did not come with a plane, but what did come with a plane was what's attached here. So we have one extension cord on each wing. So you can see we have not a huge amount of extra length on each wing. And so that is of some concern. There's two wing spars, the short one for the back and the super long one for the front. Okay. And so I'm sort of torn on how I want to handle this, but obviously you can see we've got a fair amount of length. My hope is that we have enough length to basically kind of come up with a way that's going to be the happy medium. Here, we need throttle to go to the receiver, obviously to provide feedback voltage, the BEC voltage, or the UBEC voltage in this case. And then for the elevator and rudder. And then of course we've got the wings. So I'm not sure how everything's gonna reach, but we're just gonna start plopping things in here. One thing about this plane that I can definitely say is that I very much appreciate that it's gonna be a nice plane when we're done, but it's definitely been a lot of work. Spread across several days. Every day has been a lot of work that we've done this. Mm-hmm. So again, not like especially difficult things, but a few of the things we had to figure out. Now you guys won't have to figure them out. You can just copy what we did, but you may figure them out in a different way than we did. And to be perfectly frank, I'm not a super expert on some of these assembly items. I mean, you might think I am because, you know, I'm more expert than you are, or maybe I'm way less expert than you. But the point is, you know, some of these things I don't pretend to be an expert on, and I hope you guys aren't attributing me as making that claim, because I don't believe I am. I'm trying not to. Because building these models, this would have been something that my grandpa would have done. Mm-hmm. And we used to work together on that before he passed away, and it's pretty cool that I got a chance to do that with him. And so he would have built this from scratch though, and it probably would have been more challenging to complete.
Yeah. Because
like, even though my grandpa tried hard, like this is really well built. So, and to be frank, I couldn't build it any better. I know I couldn't, because I have built stick-built planes like this. It's been years. I did that a little bit when I was a kid. Okay, so as you can see, these are folding wings too. So we'll demonstrate how that works after a bit.
Are you gonna be putting the receiver in and stuff like pretty much right now?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
If I need to jump up on the counter to see better.
No. Okay. I wouldn't do any of that. I'm just trying to get the mechanical build done. And in order to do that, I have to have all the wires in a place where I can A, reach them, and then B, be able to distinguish what's what, and then C, you know, get it in a spot where it's manageable for the AS3X and safe to operate. And I am still torn on which receiver I want to use. I know it's pretty bad, but now I'm not sure. Do I have to glue that together? I suppose I technically don't have to glue it together, but now I'm sitting here thinking about this and I'm like, crap, how am I gonna fasten the thing to the wing? Because if hold on, I gotta look at this. Give them a close-up shot. I know it's getting awkward because this plane is getting huge. That's cool, the first time to see it all together, sort of. Come here. You see this? You have to really kind of wiggle to get the alignment right on that. See that? Mm-hmm. See what I'm talking about? It just doesn't want to go in very good. See, it's close. But I'm struggling to do this without, I don't want to break anything. So I'm kind of being sort of careful. Oof. Oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to step back. I don't want to whack you with the wing and break the plane in half. This side gave me a little bit of trouble getting in, but then this one's also giving me trouble getting in. I don't know what to do. Got all the wires on one spot now, which is kind of cool. See how I just fed them in there so it'd get trapped. Could be that I'm just too far through. Really just, it doesn't want to go into this one spot here. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. I just think it's a tight fit. Let's try this. It's gonna want to drop the weight of the wing. Yep, see? Camera crew, would you just support that with your hand there? Thanks, son. Oh, there it goes. Okay, ooh, that sounded bad. Okay, so now fold the wing back, and there you have it. So I'm just like not sure, do I want to glue that little base in there? Does it say to glue it? Okay, servos and penetrates fuse. There's bolts, but they're talking about the bolts on the hinge part. I can't tell if you're even supposed to glue it. I can't tell. It doesn't seem obvious at all on these directions. Can you tell? I can't tell. See, because it doesn't really talk about it.
Lock the wing.
But that's already built. That came built.
Even that back little pin here? Is there something that goes there?
No, that's already there. That's already in.
Oh.
See, there's already a screw in there. So, I guess my whole take on it is, I'm sort of tempted to just glue or screw this together, okay? Like this part to this part.
Yeah.
Because there's really, like, I don't see any advantage of having that not glued or stuck together. Because worst case scenario, I can still take the wing off with one bolt and then this joiner. Because the next step we have to do mechanically is, and I guess I'm gonna just reluctantly have to kind of stuff this in here in a ball for now. But see, the next step is to get everything, you see how this is down? That needs to be braced at the right angle. But oh, look, I'm hitting that nut. You see that?
Oh, with the wing?
Yeah, I'm hitting the nut.
Yep.
So that's why they aren't all the way in. Crap, I wonder what I'm gonna be doing about that. Jeez, that sucks. I wonder if I could release that and just slide the whole assembly down a little bit. Like just literally pull it down. Or if I'm gonna have to take and grind that down. I really don't wanna grind that wing down. Because that's a pretty sizable gap. Look at that. That's a big gap. The other thing I could do is I could take and run a screw through here and then kind of pull that material together and just suck it in tight like that. And then I could do the same thing here and then I would have a removable screw. I mean, there's not that much material to bite, but we do have extra of those screws, which is so weird. I don't understand that because they gave us these screws, see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So worst case scenario, these ones join the wing struts that go out to this thing that goes inside, okay? And then these Oh boy, I don't know though. Those two or those two go in here. And then the other half of the equation would get screwed into the wing, which would be these smaller screws, right? Let's just do this real quick, because I mean, we have to do it at some point.
Right.
Okay, I need to refer to the directions here, if you don't mind. Right here. See, it shows the assembly with, yeah, that's right. It just goes straight up. And then where does the block go? Does it go under or above? So they're showing that on the bottom. Okay, so this will go like that. This passes through. Some of these steps are not super obvious, guys. And then this nut, this is an eye lock, goes over the top and then cinches down all the way. So I knew there was a reason we kept these out for the entire build process.
I'm so glad.
For an entire week. Because otherwise, oh geez, that's still too big. Is that it? That'll work. I don't know if it's actually it. Nylocks are like that. There's no real forgiveness. You gotta really hang on to them. That's why I kind of prefer lock washers myself. Here. Ooh, it's a super wobbly one. Okay. Yay. Hopefully I don't fall. Okay. So show the people outside real quick while I get my nets tight.
It's raining.
We've had some really poor weather the last few weeks.
And it's not super windy right this second.
It's been pretty windy like all week though.
Yep, and it's raining pretty hard right now.
Oh, is it? So basically we've been, to be honest with you, I felt like we had more flying weeks the last few weeks of winter than we did this week, because it's just been really crappy out. And every time it dries up, it's just like the alternative crappy.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one's gonna go on the other side, if you will. Then we want this on the bottom, of course. So we've been really struggling to get an opening for flying, which is perfect for a build like this, actually.
Right.
We did get our washer fixed, sort of.
Sort of.
I don't know if we mentioned that in our video when we were talking about, we've talked about a few things in this video, about prisoners a lot. We've discussed Will Smith.
Yep.
We've covered that. What else? We've talked about plane stuff a little bit.
A little bit. Yep, our washing machine broke.
Washing machine broke.
Brian fixed it, sort of.
Did we talk about the taxes?
Yep.
A huge tax bill
Paid our
that sucked.
taxes.
Well, sort of. We haven't technically yet.
Well.
We hope to. Okay, so this, I'm just tightening most of the way so that I can kind of, you know, like move it to a position and it'll stay there. This would be easier if it was off the ring, but it's really hard to take the small ones off of this little homemade ring that I made. Made this thing out of copper wire from like a ground wire on a Romex cable or whatever it is. It's just awkward because it's like, how do you hold 17 different things at the same time? It's the way it always is with nylocks too. I think one other thing too that would be advisable that I didn't do on this build that I should have totally done is I usually get my impact out.
Oh.
And I don't usually use impacts to build airplanes because I'm afraid they'll over torque things, but it just makes it so much faster to do little steps like that. You don't think about it, but it adds up so quick. Okay, so that's mostly tight. And mostly tight is good for what we're doing. Also, there is a chair. I'm not really sure how the heck that's gonna work though. Unless maybe I put the receiver on the bottom of the chair and then I could like set it down and glue it in place or something. That'd make it really hard to get out if we need to service it. By the way, these things are sharp. Good lordy lord.
Oh, are
on
they?
the sides, yeah. Man, I'm gonna knock the edge off if I can by doing this. Yeah, they're like way sharp. So it's like the impaler. It's not an impaler, it's the impaler. Not the Impala, impaler. Okay, so I have these ready to rock, but I need to get this figured out now. So I mean, I could just try to do one screw, because I believe we're gonna need a total of 3. Except technically we need screws on the inside too, don't we? I just don't know that these big screws are gonna have anywhere to bite on the wing. These big screws, will they even fit through? Yeah, they definitely fit through. But then look.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust that. That's pretty big.
It seems like a smaller screw than what, I mean, that seems like a smaller screw, doesn't it?
Yeah, 15 millimeters would be smaller. But then this goes on the inside, and that's actually supposed to be, what is the one that's on the inside supposed to be? Because they show the inside like, oh, right here. See, that's supposed to be a machine screw, like a bolt. Oh, wait, is it already in there? There's already a bolt in there, what the heck? Oh, wait, yeah, there's totally a screw in there right now. See, there's a screw in there. Do you see the screw? There's a screw in there. You're not gonna be able to see from, okay, there you go. It's right here.
Where? Oh.
This is where you can see through the window. That's where they're gonna slip in. Mm-hmm. See? Sorry, focus was giving us trouble.
Do you glue that too?
Huh?
Do you glue it and screw it?
Glue what?
That metal piece, or it just slides in and then screws into that one that's already there? You don't have to put glue on this at all?
No, it just screws in. Oh. But I'm a little bit bamboozled by the fact that there's already a screw right there. Like, I didn't expect that to be there. And plus, I'm not sure this is gonna reach very good. Might need a longer screwdriver. That's still got a pretty fine precision tip on it. Nope, that's not gonna reach. I have an idea. Well, this might work. Ooh, I have a long screwdriver. A long one.
Oh.
I don't know if it's gonna work with that screw though. Yeah, it does actually. That's gonna fall immediately into the most. Oh, it is the bolt, yes. So the bolt's already in there.
Well, that's handy and weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Why was it in there? See? Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's kind of like the way this whole build has gone. It's like, well, let's try it. And then next thing you know, you're done.
Next thing you know.
I don't know if I would describe
That was funny.
most of the build that way, but hey, by the way, these are gonna have to get bent up. It's gonna be hard to do once we're in there, so I'm gonna try to flatten them a little bit, like that. Okay, see? Look what I'm doing. See? Look right here. See, I'm running into the bottom of the wing.
Oh, yeah.
And you see, I'm not all the way in. So I gotta flatten this.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to be mindful of how big that tail is. It's huge. Okay, so maybe if I flatten it like this, then I grab it right here. No. I grab it right here. I can just grab it here and then bend it back a little bit less steep. At least it's letting me in the hole. Ooh, yay. Then, okay, so I don't really need the free Menards tool. That was a birthday gift.
Thanks, Mars.
We used to be friends with them. That was before the last 2 years. In fact, we used to spend a lot of money at Menards before we found out their true colors. Now we don't.
How are you gonna?
Yeah, exactly. How the heck am I gonna get in there? That's gonna suck. I wish this was, oh, it is. Sorry guys, it's just one of those steps I'll have to show you when I'm done because it's like awkward to do, let alone filming. Oh yes, it's going in the hole. It's in, it's tight.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that that one's tight, I guess this is gonna help us decide if we need to glue that, right?
Yeah, I think you're smart to do it in this order.
Yeah, except I don't know that I am.
But what else would you do?
See, okay, so let's talk about this for a second. I'm pulling the shaft all the way through to, I can kind of see when it disappears. Okay, now that it's stopped here, I can fold the wing, but you see, ooh, what am I hitting? Oh, that's the wires. You see the folding wing mechanism? See, I don't know if these are gonna fold with it. But then look, I knew that flap was gonna be of some concern.
Right.
Not to mention the servo extension cable goes right there.
And your canopy's not even on, which is gonna block your flap position even more.
Yep, because that's a thick spot on the canopy. Well, the canopy could come off though.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I know we talked about that earlier. I just didn't know how big of an impact it was gonna be.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be significant. I just didn't know how significant. Although, see? And these are the types of answers that you have to eventually answer. I'm not sure I'm thrilled about that. I don't want to, even if I could drill through the tube. That's gonna be way too like weakening to the structure. So I don't wanna do that. I definitely love the idea that it folds, but it's gonna be largely useless if, okay, so we gotta pull these wires back through.
The wing struts, is that what those would be called? The metal bracing pieces?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna call them.
Okay, if they're just going into the covering, is that really even like a structural?
There's a
component?
structural component out there, I think.
Is there?
We'll just have to find it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to glue this then. I don't really see any other way. Do you? The other thing is,
really.
the way that this covers, see how thick that is? I wonder if we could notch it here to receive the wing, because then this would cover over it, see? See this?
Oh, you have to have a little bit of a gap for that.
You have to have a
thing
gap for the
slide
canopy
in.
to go on?
Yeah.
That is bizarre.
So you can't glue that super tight.
I just still feel like these flaps would need to be just cut. If you really want to fold these wings,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to cut this. To what degree is yet to be determined. I think for now we just go ahead and, I am weirded out by that to a great degree. I just don't, I feel like this plane has gone together reasonably good. I know it seems that a little bit contrary by the amount of complaining, but I'm just really struggling with the concept of, oh, the other thing is I need to mark this tube in the middle, which is gonna be harder to do since it's, okay, I have an idea. Because I need to know when it's centered, don't I?
Yeah.
Oop,
At least
see?
roughly.
Look. Yeah, let's just do this. Okay, let that fold, sort of. Okay.
I mean, it is smaller.
Oh, it's a lot
like
smaller.
That than
Smaller enough? I don't
But
know.
is it going to do that when those wing struts are on there?
I'm not sure. Okay, so that's, oh good Lord. It's some metric length. Because I'm measuring 23 and, oh geez. It's some completely irregular number. Okay, so we're at 23 and a half, let's call it. Okay, so let me get a pencil. Okay, so 11 3/4 inches. And yes, I use a calculator for it.
That's an amazing calculator, by the way.
It takes a kicking and keeps on licking.
Calculator's like older than our marriage.
Yeah, I don't even know where we got that calculator from. I think it might have been just an acquisition from like my parents' house or something. I don't know.
Probably. Is
Yes.
that mark gonna stay on there?
I don't know. I'm not sure. But the thing is I can't put tape on it because I need to be able to slide it through.
Right.
So I'm kind of hoping that that works. So we have the center mark on there. I mean, yeah, that is a lot smaller, but not that much smaller. Could be a lot more smaller. I'm not sure, cam crew. Megan, I'm not sure.
I don't
This is weird. This is kind of like a stupid problem to have, if you ask me. But it is what it is. Let's just go ahead and run with it, I guess.
Can I ask a really dumb question?
What?
Did the actual real Storch have folding wings?
Are you asking me like I know?
Oh.
Oh.
I was assuming you did.
I don't know.
Sorry. I don't know if that was a scale detail or just like a fun.
I mean, it's a
Let's
really
try it.
It's a really cool thing. There's the center, okay?
Yep, I can see the mark.
But you have to go past center
Right.
to be able to close this wing.
You have to have enough length on your wires too to
To be able to fold.
maneuver them.
I know, that was the other thing I thought about when I was talking about radio setup earlier. Okay, so there's the center. That wasn't too bad. Okay, so I think we're just gonna have to just try to support it. And yeah, I agree totally with your assessment about structural strength. I mean, we definitely can't just go into any surface willy-nilly.
Right.
Right? And we gotta have a little bit of a something going on there. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. Because think about it, if you're not only holding the wing out and up and down, depending on what direction the forces are being applied,
Right.
you're also keeping the wings from falling out of the aircraft. Ugh, that's pretty scary. So we have some more screws that are the small ones. I'm not sure which one we're gonna need on this one. And you do kind of have to do this upright, I guess. Because I want to plan on flying upright before I plan on flying upside down. So let's just get the other wing. Ooh. Might need the drill for this step, so I'll just have it down here. So then this wing, we didn't have to maybe fold this one quite as much, because you see that's like planning on this much movement, we only need about this much. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this right here. Bend it down just a little bit. Oh, geez. There it goes. Okay, so I got it down a little bit less. Now I need to bend these both flat. Just a real simple process. Just a loop. I mean, it's fairly easy to bend. Kind of hard to bend two at a time. Okay. So then that's going to go in here, just like the other side.
Here, take that screw out first.
No, I realize that.
Oh,
I was just making sure I had it at least close.
Okay.
But yes, you are correct. Those screws are all out of the way. So folks, if you're building this thing or you're following along building it too, First of all, don't make any plans. It's gonna be a while. Second of all, it's a lot of steps. Which I know we've mentioned, we have thoroughly beaten it. This dead horse.
It's probably a little late into the build to tell them not to make any plans. You're committed now.
Yeah, if you had plans and you're just watching the video, that'd be one thing. But even that. Magnetic still, so that's good. Okay, so it goes in. Magnetic screw driver helps make this happen. Whoa, that was easier. Found the hole almost immediately.
That helps.
It does. So we're gonna get this nice and tight. Like a toiga. I hate to say it, but I just am nervous about these wings pulling out.
I know.
I probably shouldn't be, except I've seen the way I fly. Hey, if I hit the chicken coop with this, you think it would do better than the Draco did?
Probably not.
I agree. It would do terrible. Okay, so folding these back. I want the top one to go to the back, or do I want the top one to go to the front? I don't know if it really matters. I don't think it matters, but I want them to be the same. So top one will go to the front. There is a structural member there. And there's a structural member somewhere, right there. So right there and right there.
Hit? Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, that's where it's gonna hit right now. But what I need to do now is I need to lift the swing and get it on alignment. And that's gonna be somewhat challenging. Because there's a lot of moving pieces here.
Right.
Why is the rudder kicked at an angle like that?
Because we have cats.
No.
Oh.
Can you turn the rudder for me? Mm-hmm. Just carefully pull it. Does it move?
Yeah.
What? Do that again. Oh, it did move the servo. Okay. It did move the servo. It's just weird. The servo was not in the center. So that just kind of came to mind when that was all going down. Okay, so same thing over here, I guess. These need to be flattened a little bit more. I don't know if you can see, but they are not in the right orientation. So I'm gonna grab this and just kind of flatten that out a little bit. Oh, that's way better.
Try and come around by you.
Okay.
It's really hard to see.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of these steps are gonna be tough to share because of the nature of what we're doing. Front here, and you can tell there's a structural member because you can push the film. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a structural member there. And then there's a structural member here. But you see what I'm talking about? There's just a lot of moving parts to try to keep this all squared up and true.
Yeah.
And I just took all these wires out for some reason. I'm gonna put them all back in again. Because I want to remove as many of the distractions on the squareness. Jeez. Okay, so it looks like both wings need to be lifted. I don't know if I have enough material to go through with a big bolt like this. What do you think? I'm pretty sure that's what it's calling for. Well, I don't know. It's probably just one of those things where we're just gonna have to, I don't want to say throw caution to the wind, but that's pretty much what we're doing. Maybe we could mark it. Maybe we could mark it.
If you put it upside down
and put it on a flat.
Would that help the wings be in a better?
I'm just afraid it's gonna basically, well, we can try it.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just trying to think. You have to have the tail off the counter probably, right?
I have to have all this crap out of the way. Is it supposed to be flat? Is that the objective? Is that what they show in the drawings? That definitely looks flat there. It's not a terrible idea.
I mean, they show, is this red line supposed to be like
Yes.
an indicator of
Straight.
straight?
Okay, I'm not 100% sure on this, but you see there's a brace here, and there's a brace there. I just don't know if I have enough thickness to hit it with this bigger screw or not. Okay, you're just fine there.
Okay.
How many screws are we gonna need total? 4? Did I get 2? Yeah, no, I just got 1. I'm gonna need 1 more at some point. This is the scary step.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, I did not drill a pilot hole for a reason. Because I want to see if I can get it to bite without. Because I want as much material as possible, but I'm just afraid I'm going to split it. Oh man, that feels pretty strong. Okay, so that's going to definitely be there. Okay, I'm gonna drill. I gotta drill a hole.
Okay.
I'm just afraid I'm gonna split the wood underneath if I don't. I had hoped to avoid drilling. Let's see if this goes any easier.
Okay.
I'm sure it will. No, it wouldn't. And remember, that's just a pilot hole, I guess. Did you get that pilot hole?
Hilarious.
I am a little bit concerned how long that is.
Yeah, but it's like basically holding the wing on.
Yeah, and it's holding it in the right position.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if the wing is as thick as this screw. See? It certainly isn't on the trailing edge. Why is it that the crappy Chinese screwdriver works better?
Oh, it does.
Wait, I'll be able to feel because it's... We'll try one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, see? I ran out of pilot hole.
Oh.
Trying to figure out where I can support this so it doesn't break in half. Oh man, I'm having visions of
I
it
know.
poking through the other side. But it's not made it. Not yet.
Making me nervous.
Making me nervous. Making myself nervous. I've never been so dependent on a stinking wing
know.
strut in an RC environment here. I'm using my ring finger and my index finger to hold the wing ribs. It went all the way in. Wow. 100% penetration.
Well,
And it still rotates. That is weird. It's almost like one of these things that shouldn't work, but it just does. It's like a happy accident of RC aviation. I don't know. I guess I'll take it.
I mean, what choice do we have? What's
I mean,
the
that was
alternative?
still a lot easier than like 7 other steps. The alternative is that it blows up in a million pieces.
Oh.
or does like that,
Yeah.
which is always a possibility. We gotta take off our labels too here after a minute. Okay, so on the other one, I kind of split the difference. I took the high point here. Mm-hmm. And then on this one, you can definitely see that down. Okay. Did I get another screw when I went over there? Yes, I did.
I thought you did.
I did. It's right there. Okay. All right, so here we go. Here goes nothing. If I slip off of that screw, it's gonna be like a, not just a hole, it's gonna be a hole all the way through the wing. An impact would give me better control over this step.
Would it?
I know it seems counterintuitive, but I think it would. Hold on, did we already try this once?
You're gonna put your screwdriver in your...
My chuck.
I'm shocked that didn't work.
Huh?
So I'm shocked that didn't work.
Shouldn't be. I could just drill an appropriate sized pilot hole. Because the pilot hole needs to be a little bit bigger than what I was doing. The problem with that is that with a bigger hole means potentially less material biting. And so I just really want this to be right because this is a critical structural attachment point.
Apparently so.
That's why the instructions are so clear.
Mm-hmm. Crystal.
They didn't even tell us to pack a lunch in this model.
No.
What if we get hungry? We have to figure that out on our own.
Mm-hmm. What if we flew near Boskage and we didn't know it?
The Boskage? Wow, that would be totally irresponsible. There'd be at least 37 Karens that come out of the woodwork and told us not to.
Of course.
Well, I mean, there could be like a big flock of handicapped people next to the Boskage.
Boskage that we own. Does that make a difference?
It's extra dangerous then. What if there's a hospital there? These are all things
or
that we...
children.
Children, that's right. You don't want to be doing this in front of children because they may get the need to buy one themselves. And then there's no telling what damage they could do.
With the toy.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, yes. I mean, it's
in there.
Yeah, definitely in there. It definitely doesn't look terrible. Yep, definitely. Let's tighten this again. Dustin Hoffman, you're my hero. All right, so I don't know. Looks like that plane might be done, as in built.
You keep saying done, but I don't think it means what you think it
Hey,
means.
look. I know you want to watch this step. Do you want to take some off?
You're taking off the labels.
I'm taking off the labels, yeah, because they were ugly.
They were helpful though when we needed them.
They did their job, but I just feel like it was 100 years ago when we put these on.
It seems that way.
You're kind of old.
Yeah.
As in,
Well, you're older than me.
that's true. Not by much.
Nope.
By just enough.
Still older.
Just enough. Ow. That is sharp right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you need to be careful. Adult children, don't get stabbed on those things. What happened to your nails anyway? That you're like a nail aficionado.
Can't have nice nails and run a YouTube channel at the same time.
Oh, come on.
Web design takes priority.
Does it really?
It does not.
At BrianPhillipsRC.com?
Are Right.
That's weird. If you guys haven't done it yet, you should go visit. Maybe I should do that sometime too, huh? I'm sorry, I just bumped the camera.
You shouldn't do that because then you'll have an opinion.
That's why I'm being nice.
You're going to have to just be happy with free web design.
You mean from Wix?
No, from the camera crew.
Oh. Oh, yours had tape on it? Man, you got like the double whammy.
No kidding.
Here.
Here, switch.
I don't get cut though, like that's seriously sharp.
I won't. I'm a grown up.
Like this. Like that's crazy sharp. I'm surprised I didn't cut that paper in half. Oop, we got some tape there too, looks like.
Yeah, you taped a couple of them. Oh, there.
Well, there was some residual tape. As a lot of the tape I got off of there already.
Yeah. That does look better with the labels off.
It's like really crazy amounts of busyness going on this plane. And yet,
That's kind of a lot.
yeah, and it's just like a unique shape. It's a weird shape, really, when you get down to it. Oh yeah, that looks so cool.
Put the canopy on.
Oh, that looks so sweet. That was a bad gun noise. Should be ashamed of myself. Oh yeah. Okay. What do you think, guys? That thing is beautiful. Oh my goodness. Look underneath, that is so pretty. Okay. So, test. That just doesn't seem right. That does not seem right. You know what? Look at this. You know what would prevent that? Glue. But then if you glue it, you can't pull them out. So like, okay, so you want to fold the wings? Okay, fine. Let's see if we can fold the wings. So you take this shaft, work it off to one side or the other. Once it's ready to go, then you have to free up some wire, which again, you're gonna have to be able to free up wire, which means the receiver has got to be close enough to leave slack, or you need to extend these lines. Oh, it doesn't go now that it's attached.
Now that it's attached.
Yep, okay, so that does for me answer at least one question, and that is, do we glue on that black thing now? Now that we know that it's held, because that would keep the wing in place.
Right.
You see what I'm talking about? Because we got this release point here. So I wonder if we need to just undo that at the base there. As much as I don't want to redo it, I'd rather redo this now than have it break.
Right.
So when this is all said and done, you'll be able to still take the wing off, but you'll have to unplug everything, which I'm not going to do that.
Right.
The other thing we could do is we make the receiver on Velcro in this one, because the Velcro would give us flexibility. Why does that rudder always turn? Okay, watch this. So now I can pull this out and pull this out. And then just line all this stuff up. See what I'm talking about? Can you hold that up for just a quick sec? Because then I'm just gonna like smear it. I'm just gonna give it a nice big smear.
That was
Power.
exciting.
Yeah, since it's basically not like a thunderstorm. Hey, don't lift up too high.
Okay.
Okay. Guys, I could regret this decision. It's possible. Let go. Please do.
I don't really think you have a choice.
You gotta hold it together.
Yeah.
I agree. There's not really a choice. It's gotta be glued. You gotta, at some point, you gotta hold the dang bottle together, you know? And that's got to take priority over folding, or if it's going to clear the flaps or whatever. Okay, so how am I going to do this? I need to be able to do the other side, but I don't want all this tangle to have to get fed back through. So what I want to do is I want to have the camera crew
Can I just hold it up?
No. Just give them a shot of what I'm doing here. I'm just putting CA on it. Okay, so not an incredible amount, not tons. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Careful, I gotta float. Mm-hmm. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing.
Get me a paper towel before I slide this in, camera crew, please. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Okay, wires pulled through. Okay, so that's medium thick CA. Okay, just gonna wipe off the extreme amounts of excess. A little bit's gonna be a little bit, it's just the way it is. Okay, and then sit that there. And in you go. Then I'm gonna screw this back in ASAP. Let the magnet do its job. The XT60 just so happens to be in my way. So when the servo wire knocks your screw off, that's when you just want to throw something. But it didn't. We got lucky. Okay, so now that that side's done-ish, we're gonna slide the control or the wing joiner through to the other side. And we're just gonna let that do its thing, because that's important. We need that to stay relatively tight. Hate to do it, but I gotta do it.
Okay.
I want this to be solid. See, just hold that joint tight. Gosh, I am so torn. Did we just glue the stinking thing together? I feel like we almost are gonna have to.
But you have to have that slot for the canopy to go on.
Yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right. I feel like I got a piece of fiberglass in my belly.
Oh no.
Yeah, just from rubbing into this fiberglass cowl a little bit. Okay, so same thing here. Same process, just different wing. Oh, I have to undo the screw down below. So folks, I gotta say, I mean, as many moving parts as there are in this plane, I feel like at this point of the game, got a pretty nice plane going. I'm just nervous, like I don't want there to be any ambiguity about whether or not the wing is gonna stay on.
Yeah.
That's kind of a big one for me. Is the wing gonna stay on? Is it beautiful? Does it fly well? Those things, you know, that sort of detail. This one I put glue on, but I didn't actually glue it on. Because that was to add for friction. There it goes. Maybe we can do that. Oh. Almost worked. You can just let it slide. Just let it slide. It should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, thank you. Okay, so same thing here. And as I was concerned, there's hardly any CA left after this project. I think it was like half full when we started, something like that. Eee. I gotta try to flip it over. How the heck am I gonna do that? This is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Put it over here. And see, once the CA starts getting low, then it's even harder to squeeze it out of the tube. On this weird angle, it doesn't help anything, okay? Okay, so there's that. Okay, well, as much as I want to say that's imperfect because it is, it's probably enough to hold it in place. So let's go ahead and cap this off, and we will get a piece of tape ready. Then we'll have that ready to grab. Okay, so now the next step is put back on the table here, or the island in this case. I lost none of the wires, that's good. And my objective is to just kind of guide this through. And simultaneously, I need to be working on getting my alignment for wires, and then also get that one on the bottom lined up. So if you get to a certain point, you can pull it from the bottom. And then once you get close, you want to kind of wipe your CA off so it doesn't prevent it from rotating on you. And for that, I'm going to use a clean Q-tip, mostly concentrating on that side, but a little bit on this side. And that is a carbon fiber piece. So it's real light, but very strong. And also those carbon fiber pieces always seem to hang on really good to CA. Okay, so we're going to tape this thing back in. Push it in like that, and then tape it. Yeah, see, that didn't hold it with the crap. See how it pulled off right away. A little more surface area might help. Yeah, that helped a little bit. The other thing that would help a lot is just getting this joiner back through. And then also screwing that. There's the center mark. Okay, now push that closed back here. And then tape it down. Let that do its job for a minute. Pull the slack, pull the slack. Okay, so I need to get that screw back in. So as you've learned from watching me do this process, there is a lot of back and forth involved. And to be honest, I don't know that there's like really a great way to avoid all of it. Some of it you can avoid by knowing what you're doing. Some of it you won't be able to avoid even if you do know what you're doing. You lift this wing up just a hair. Hey, how is the alignment on the wing? Did we get it pretty straight?
I think so, actually.
Because I haven't like taken time to study how straight it is because I'm not watching, I'm just holding it, you know?
Right.
Okay, so that screw is almost tight. And now it is tight. And that side is tight. Okay. So at this point, we have, that looks pretty good actually. Looks nice and square to me. I mean, at least from just a quick look at it. So now I guess really the next thing we have to figure out is radio setup. And radio setup can happen simultaneous to that, the wing glue setting up, so long as it holds steady. And so probably what I'll do is just for good measure, I'm gonna go ahead and throw a couple pieces of tape just to make sure it doesn't break free while we're not paying attention. Just on that one, kind of that, just make sure this gap doesn't open. This is obviously not gonna be glued at all, which just to me seems crazy, but it kind of is what it is. If that's the way that they designed it, then that's the way it's gonna be now. Okay, so that holds that there. And that's just holding it. That's all it's doing, just holding it tight. So now the next move is to actually get a radio. Would you straighten my rudder, please? More. There you go. Perfect, thank you. Okay, so the last step in this whole build series is radio setup. And radio setup is gonna be complicated on this plane because of the nature of the wing, okay? Now I'm not gonna sit here and say that you have to go with the exact same setup we're gonna go with, but I think, I'm gonna wash my hands, make sure I don't have CA on my hands. I think what we wanna do is wanna use the 8 channel if I can fit it. Yes, you could probably get away with the 6 channel, but I just think the instructions call for more than 6 channel. And because of the nature of our AS3X and safe, this is also gonna give us voltage telemetry, which is nice. If you wanna do a 6 channel in the same configuration, and you think you can get your slats and your flaps to work at the same rate and to have clearances and endpoints the same, then you're probably okay. But with 8 channels, we can do throttle, rudder, elevator, ailerons, throttle, rudder, elevator, ailerons, flap, leading edge slat, and then there's 2 spares, which means that we can actually separate the left and right flaps. So we could set those up potentially as flaperons/flaps. I'm not sure how I want to do that part yet. I would say the leading edge slat could act as a flap on a 6 channel. So if you were to do the AR631, which would be a significantly less expensive option, then you'd be able to do, for 6, you got 6 to work with. So throttle, elevator, rudder, ailerons, flap, leading edge slat. Is there a reason we wouldn't do that?
Because then we talked about master gain.
Master gain is an additional channel above because we have DX8, or excuse me, NX8. So I believe we can, well, we have to make an assignment, but I believe that on the NX6, or excuse me, on the AR631, we can talk to the top channels for controls.
I think part of the reason when we were talking last night was just being able to have control over the range for the flaps and the slats to make sure you get full range and you're not compromising just to have them on the same channel.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then no throttle. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 gives us the ultimate flexibility. We haven't used one yet, but we're gonna use this one today. Now keep in mind that the AR8360T also has end pins here, so that could make a complication for you. You just need to be aware of that. There's also diversity antennas, so there's 2 of them. This is a little bit bigger than the AR631. AR630 would have end pins and then an internal antenna. It's a little bit cheaper than the 631 as well, but you get safe and AS3X in all 3 of these. But this is gonna give you the telemetry feedback for voltage of your pack. Okay, so that's super easy to do. Now, where do I want to mount this? Let's start looking at that. That could be another factor that we need to investigate and consider. So I'm going to pull this out of the package here real quick. And for those of you that aren't wanting to use a Spectrum receiver, I understand that this is a plug and fly, so you may not be into it. The radio setup is going to be complicated on this one, so you'll want to just do your best. Because by the time we have leading edge slats and flaps, which might not be as complicated as I think, I suspect you're going to want to copy along. If you're a more advanced builder, I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. And a lot of you guys are just going to tie your flaps and leading edge slats together and just throw caution to the wind and hope they kind of match up. But I can tell you this, so far, with as long as I fought those things, you're not going to get them to line up. Okay, so here's the receiver. So all the pins are going to end in, they're going to go in here. And you can see it says S plus minus, so signal plus minus. And then of course, the programming port is on here. And then we're going to be plugging in this voltage to right here. Okay, so we're going to pause for just a second. All right, folks, so we were just talking off camera about something because I had to go to the bathroom. And we were just saying, where the heck's the battery going to go in here? Because like, if you want to just feast your eyes on this gigantic opening, when I say gigantic opening, I mean, it's not really that big. However, I already know what battery I want to use, and that's going to be, we're going to use 4S 2200. So we have a Gen 1 here, but if we're going to do pack voltage, then I can actually do a Gen 2. 4S Gen 2 should give us the best crack at success. Yeah. 4S Gen 2, this is a 50C. I want to do a 4S Gen 2 that's not a 50C. I wonder where those are.
Do you only have those?
No.
30s?
I have more. I just don't know where they are. I'm looking and looking. Give me a second, I'll find them. Okay, so Gen 2, meaning just one lead as opposed to two. That'll be good for space. And also what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get a feel for CG. So this battery, okay, so if you were to lay this in here, suppose that ESC stays out, which I don't know that it will. Let's suppose the battery drops in here. I don't know if this is even gonna work. But let's say that that's where that goes, okay? First of all, let's not even worry about securing it. Okay, so now let's lean this back up on its legs, or on its wheels. And then let's double check the CG, which is gonna be buried in the manual somewhere. Okay, so we need to figure out the CG. And so we took a second and cleaned everything up. And then while I'm in the process of doing this, this is another step that I always take when we do these AR637s. I always twist this because it becomes such a mess otherwise. And usually what I do is I just walk it down the length. If you have a drill out, you can just put it in the chuck and spin it really quick. And then when you're all said and done, you'll end up with this nice, like, sort of tight braid. And it makes it a lot easier to manage that cable because you just chase that back from where your wire is and it goes back into this lead. Okay, so if you didn't know how that worked, this is keyed, it's like a micro pH connector for a 1S pack, 1S LiPo. See, then that just follows out to wherever it's gonna go. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a second. And 70 to 75 millimeters is where the CG is supposed to be. Now keep in mind, there is this chair, so that could be a creative solution for maybe mounting some of your radio equipment. We were actually just talking about that too off camera, how, you know, like how are you gonna do that with an end pin? It doesn't really work well for an end pin, and especially a complex one. And then once this sets in here, it's gonna be at a weird angle. So the other thing is you have to secure that somehow. So I don't exactly know how that would work, but I can definitely say that it is gonna be not very fun to put the battery in this plane. And I can already tell because I'm looking at it thinking, where the heck is the battery gonna go? So let's go ahead and mark it. For that, we're gonna use a plain stand. Remember, we've got some CA that's just setting up for a minute longer on those wings still. There is a battery in there, but it's just loose. don't think it'll fall out. Okay, so I'm gonna try to mark the center of gravity from 70 to 75 millimeters. Okay, that's from the leading edge slat or from the actual leading edge of the wing? That's from the leading edge slat totally retracted or flat. So with these things flat, I'm at 70 right now. So there's 70. Okay, so we'll mark the other side while we got the calipers out. Oops. Okay, so there's 70, now 75, of course. Not a very big range. Pretty tight range. They must know what they want it to be. Woo! Double check that. Okay. So glad I didn't drop that into the plane. Man, that is a really small range. You see that? Mm-hmm. 70 to 75 millimeters is kind of a crazy tight range, in fact. There's a lot of stuff going on this plane. Okay, so that's not necessarily a huge issue. It's just more a matter of we have to deal with it now. So we're gonna lay this stuff down out of the way. And we still have to set up the ESC and do a lot of other things too. But now that we have a rough idea of what we're dealing with, all the surface is neutral. They shouldn't impact the CG that much. Neither should the canopy. It's made of plastic, so it's not of great consequence, but let's just go ahead and temporarily drop that on top of here. There's some magnets, so kind of hold it roughly in place. And lay the plane down on its feet, and then just kind of get in position. I mean, if I go to the back, we're probably close. It could be a lot worse. I almost feel like a bigger pack would probably resolve our problem immediately. But then if you look at this, if I can just get that ESC or the battery in here, then I think we'll be fine. But then how in the heck am I gonna do that on a regular basis? That is not a very convenient way of doing that. And then how am I gonna plug that in?
And how do you secure the battery?
I know, that's the other thing I'm thinking about too. That's gonna be very impractical, like very, very impractical. Okay, so the other thing too I'm thinking about right now is we have to get these leads plugged in for the pack telemetry, the voltage, the pack voltage. So now if you were to put a smart ESC in here, you could actually have thrust reverse, which you won't need on this plane, I don't believe. And you could have full pack telemetry and smart cell by cell voltage, all that stuff. But of course you're gonna have to replace the ESC and that's not free. So I'm just kinda, I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but as I'm talking about the smart stuff, I'm just kinda rolling this down. And then you don't need this if you've got the smart ESC. And you could actually have that smart feedback through the AR631 as well. So if you're getting the AR637T, then you would feedback through that as well. But we just want the extra channels on this, I think. And it's possible we may not need it. So I think it might be smarter to do this at the end, but I'm just gonna throw caution to the wind and get it done. Okay, so now we have this tight, except for this little area. It must have been in a hurry. Okay, so a nice little braid. And then I'm gonna show you, there's more than one way to skin this cap for sure. But the way I'm gonna show you is the way I'm gonna the easy way. Okay, there's heat shrink in there going up into the solder joint. Ooh, you know what? I wonder if I can use a cute, why don't we grab a
toothpick?
Toothpick, yep. The correct way to do this is not the way I'm doing it. This is the way we're doing it because it's easy. See, this is heat shrink, so what happens to heat shrink when you stretch it out? It makes an opening. And what happens when you're, all you need to do is go up there and touch that copper. See, like that? Now, watch this. I'm gonna do the same thing on the negative. Okay, and you can also just, you know, heat this up and slide it back too. If you really want to do it the easy way. This is the way to do it though. So let's see if we can get contact. You can watch that lead kind of slipping up there. Yeah, I didn't quite make it that time. I had to point the XT60 at a weird angle to get that gap. There we go, got it that time. See how it's giving me an opening? Just kind of go in there and expand it out a little bit. It's kind of fighting me. Go the other way now. Oh, son of a biscuit, you see that? Oh, sure. Ripped a hole. Not the end of the world. Just, oh, you son of a biscuit lover. I'm biscuit loving in this video.
So why are you making these biscuits? You're making me hungry.
Okay, so you see how I did that? Okay, that time I got it. Okay, so fire. We need fire.
Oh.
Ready? You're like, Brian, this is the most lazy way of doing it I've ever seen. Darn tootin'. Gosh, these things suck. They used to be so much better before when you could
For the
safety locks.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll just let that cool for a second. And then all we're doing with that is we're basically just putting the thing next to the copper and then shrinking it down. Now you could obviously get in there and solder it and do it properly if you really care. But the thing is, like, it's just not that critical. So now that we've done that, look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna chase that back. I'll just give this a couple more twists and then I'll just secure that right there. And we'll just chase it right down to wherever this servo lead is. We'll grab a little bit of either electrical tape or some small zip ties. I think we may be running short on small zip ties. So we got a couple of small zip ties here. Just put that slack back like that. And all we're doing is just tying it up. So it becomes just another wire that chases back all the way to the receiver, just like the main one. Okay, so the other thing too we need to keep in mind is that we could use a bigger battery.
Could the battery sit in the chair?
Maybe.
I just don't know how you're gonna get the battery in there.
I don't know where the chair's gonna go. I don't even know where the chair goes. I think the chair's supposed to go right there. There's 2 slots. But I don't know. I think the battery is, at this point, important, but I don't really know what else we're gonna do. We're gonna have to get this set up at some point. And I think that the receiver is going to take precedent over where the chair goes.
Right.
Okay, so the other thing too is I don't know how all this is going to plug in because we've never done an 8-channel in this configuration. So I know for sure that we're going to have the power from the receiver going into throttle would be port 1 on a Spectrum. Then I know for sure that this is going to come back up here and plug in there. Okay. But then beyond that, I have no clue. And then we've got those 2 wires down there. So I think what we need to do now for a minute is we need to basically, we have to probably build our model. And once we build our model, we can start determining where everything's going to plug in. And that's going to determine if we can reach or not. And that's going to determine. Okay, so let's start building a model. Okay, so the next step obviously is to turn on the transmitter. Okay, so we are evidently flying the Blade Heli. You can press these 2 buttons at the same time to do a shortcut, or you can go into function list and scroll all the way down to system setup, disconnect RF, go to model select, add new model. We don't want to make a heli, we want to make an acro. Okay. So it does take a second for this to work. Okay, so then what we have to do is we have to go model type. We've already checked. If you change that, it'll erase everything you've got. Model name, this is where you type in the name, which is, if you show them over there, it's the Fessler, is that how you would say that?
I think so.
Fessler FI 156 Storch. So what we're gonna probably do is we're gonna probably type the FI 156 Storch, right? Okay, so I'm using a legacy keyboard, just so you know. All right, so we got the FI 156 Storch, which is a 1.6 meter. Aircraft type, this is where we set up the wing. This is gonna be a weird type. Okay, so we can either do, you note there's no leading edge slats anywhere, right? So what you end up doing is you end up probably, I'm not sure if I want to do it like that, which might make the most sense, but see, if we end up doing this, that would give us control over the flaps and the flaperons. That would be 4 channels for the wing. I'm still, to be honest with you, I'm not sure why they don't have a leading edge slat built in, but they don't.
If you did that one, you
could assign the separate flap action.
to the leading edge slats.
Yeah, maybe, because then we could just treat these independently of each other. I think that's what we're gonna have to do. And then the normal tail is fine.
That's gonna definitely be weird.
I don't know what type of plane I should put. Probably this is about as close as it gets. And then the flight mode setup. Trying to think about this for a second. We're gonna have no landing gear, so it's probably just gonna be here.
Where are you gonna put your slats?
Leading edge slats are gonna be controlled by the flaps still. And see, that's why I'm still coming back to, I keep coming back to this struggle between the AR631 and this receiver that we've picked here, this AR8360T. Because really, the 631 should do all the stuff we want to do. The top pins might be nice for this application, because then we could put it on the bottom of the chair. Slide that chair over here. I want to show you my other idea. I'm still totally torn on this because there's enough room here that you could put the receiver here, but then that receiver is flush, and then all the wires come out and then are just exposed. So once that gets secured inside the plane, I'm just afraid I don't know exactly how I would secure this.
We'll have to be able to bind it before you would put it in there upside down.
That doesn't matter if it's upside down though. That's not even an issue.
To get to the button.
Okay, so let's come back to that. Anyway, so channel assign, I don't know what we're gonna do yet on any of that stuff. So let's just go out. First thing we wanna do is throttle cut. Switch H, double check it's working. It is, now it's off. Throttle curve, flap system, set that to switch B. Don't know what position any of this crap is gonna be, so we're gonna leave it at 0, which is the middle position. Let's do a little bit of elevator correction. Okay, so position 1, let's do like 10, and I wanna make it so that you can actually see something happening. See how they're tied together right now? Because otherwise it'd be hard to tell like what's going on. I guess we'll leave that at 0. Okay. Then we'll do speed 2, let's do 2 seconds. Independent. I don't know what that's gonna do. See how there's right flap, left flap. See, that will allow us now to go into servo setup. See, it says right flap, left flap. Now we can set the end stops for those, and we can change our output function there, even though the flap mode calls out just flaps, which are both. So like for instance, you see when I change this, it changes to 50 and then minus 50, right? So if you wanted one of them, let's say we want that one to overdrive and we want this to underdrive. Okay, now let's go to monitor and watch what happens. See? See how they're different amounts now? So that is probably the way we needed to do that. So you're right. So we'll be in the middle setting, throttle cuts on. Let's go ahead and set a timer to 1 out over 25%. Nothing at 1 minute, nothing at 20 seconds. Voice at last 10 seconds, and then tone and vibrate for expiration. Okay, and then audio vents, we're not gonna probably mess with those.
Do you want to take that servo out of there that you did?
No, because I want there to be a difference so I can tell the difference. Okay? Because otherwise you won't know which one's which. Okay? So anyway, we'll just leave it there, and then obviously we have to bind, so I'm gonna just
flight mode 2, flight mode 1, flight mode
one's gonna be AS3X, one's gonna be safe. So why don't we go ahead and do, is that under audio vents?
flight mode 2, flight mode 1.
Back, or cancel, clears it. So we'll type in AS3X, and that's, in my case, it's the switch is back, because that's like my more natural state, or my neutral state when I first take off. And AS3X stands for Artificial Stabilization 3-Axis, which is stabilization. And then safe.
Flight mode 2.
Safe is sensor aided flight envelope, which is where you're auto leveling. It's still based on AS3X. Okay.
Flight mode 1, flight mode 2.
Now we can go in there and scroll a lot, and we'll be right back. So it's kind of like way down here, so it's at safe mode.
Flight mode 1, safe mode, flight mode 1.
Okay, so now we'll change that one. Again, it's gonna go all the way to the bottom, so. Okay, so AS3X mode, which is way down here. So we'll just do that.
Safe mode, AS3X mode.
Okay, so we can walk out of there. Now, you'll note that that doesn't actually change any mode. That just changes the audio event attached to this switch.
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
So that can be deceiving because you still have to set that up, okay? So you'll note that it is changing the gear channel.
AS3X.
Okay, so then the elevator's on channel 3, ailerons are on channel 2, rudder's on channel 4,
Safe mode.
mode is on channel 5, but you could just as well switch that to auxiliary 3.
Safe mode.
And then flaps, one of them is gonna be here, and one of them is gonna be here. So that'd be on channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, with the elevator correction active. So then master gain is gonna be up here, which is already by default on aux 3, so we're not gonna mess with that one, okay? So we'll walk back out, throttle cuts on, monitor mode, you can see throttle's not working. Now it is, throttle cuts on. Now, you'll note that we do have our prop on this plane. So if you're in any doubt, take the prop off. Don't send me pictures of your cut up hands, please, because that's gross. And it is an avoidable accident, and you should do your best to not get hurt while you're doing these things. What I generally do is I secure the plane and I get myself in a situation where I can control it. If it were to start spinning, then I'll be out of the way. And worst case scenario, you have to wait for the battery to die. Okay, this battery incidentally is low, which I just thought of. So we may have to actually start this. So if you aren't familiar with the smart chargers, I've been using the S2200. This is a new 4S charger that you could technically use, and it's a lot cheaper, but it's only a 55 watt. This is a 200 watt double channel. They also make an S1400, it's a single watt 400 channel. And then you can go way up in the wattage on these ones. I don't even remember what the wattage is, but it's huge. It's like 500 or 600, and you can do 2 of these in parallel. It's just crazy. You know what I want to use? I use this. That's what I always use, and it just starts, which is really nice. Okay? So you can see there it's at 43%, which is probably not going to be enough to let us start the battery. See, that's the problem.
Well, we still have to plug all the stuff into the receiver, so it's going to take us a couple minutes to get everything plugged in, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess technically, but what I'm saying is we have to bind so that we have control.
Oh.
So maybe we could use this while that's charging. Now, I don't plan to fly with this, but this, I mean, this could be another battery we could use because this will give us potentially something that would center it out better. I don't know. I'm not opposed to that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna throttle cut on, turn off our battery, or turn off our power on our transmitter. We do have the ESC plugged in, and we have the battery feedback plugged in, but that's just, you know, happens to be the way it is. It's not some magical solution, right? We may have to extend this battery plug. That's gonna suck, because that's like way not very convenient.
Yeah.
And so I'm just gonna like carefully do this for now. Oh, and then this is not bound, but we haven't pressed the button yet, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Now it's in bind mode, you see it flashing. So I'm just gonna be sort of away from the plane a little bit and then power this up. Oh, dang it. I didn't hold it long enough. So now I have to turn it back off. Holding this button here, and then I'm gonna turn this on. Bind failed. So if the bind fails, click and go down to bind. Got it? Okay. So now everything is technically started. This is where you're still kind of vulnerable, so I'm being super careful about where my hands are, where the controls are. Throttle hold is on, throttle cut is on. It didn't, there was no noise, there was no song.
No ESC, yeah.
But we do have power here. Definitely have that plugged into the right port. We definitely have, unless something unplugged, which is always a possibility.
If you plugged in.
Oh wait, let's look at telemetry while you've got it. You can stay there.
Okay.
16.7 volts. So this worked. If I plugged in something else, we could see if it's actually got
see if
signal.
it comes to life.
Well, generally speaking, the AS3X and stuff is off too, just so you guys are aware. We're gonna need some Y cables too.
Yeah.
I don't know which Y cables we're absolutely going to need, but I'm just gonna go ahead and try to take two that are super similar in length. Except that one, the leading edge slats, here's the left leading edge slat. Okay, so that's plugged in there. And then there's one of these is the right leading edge slat. That's the right flap. And then this is the left leading edge, right leading edge slat. Just color for color. So brown to brown, red to red, and yellow to yellow. Okay, so this is gonna probably bring this to life. And that needs to be on what channel again do we go to? So go to monitor mode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 or 7. So channel 7. Okay, so they're definitely working. Cool.
Cool.
Okay, then for the flaps, I mean, obviously we're gonna have to figure out what's going on with the ESC. There's no doubt about that. Because without the ESC, this is the right flap, color for color. I'm just trying to be careful that the name of the game for cable management is be nice to it now so that it's easy later. Okay, brown on the top. This is the left flap. Okay, so this is gonna go in channel 6. Okay. Oh, that is so cool. So we need to flip that channel, okay? Then we have an aileron and an aileron. So let's go ahead, we do need another splitter for that. But I think on that one, we can get away with the shorter one because we had the extension cords.
Yeah, I think so.
Again, kind of the name of the game is try to keep them all about the same length. So in this case, we're going to a different color scheme. So we'll go brown to black. Okay. And then we'll go brown to black. So that's the Futaba color to the Hextronics color. Okay, or the JR color or whatever. JR Spectrum. I think Spectrum bought JR. Okay, so this is the ailerons, right? So channel 2. Okay. Correct, correct. Okay, so now we do actually have some extension cords up here, don't we?
Oh, do we? Just
Well,
extension
maybe
cords?
might not have a lot.
Are you gonna need them for the rudder and the elevator, you think?
It's possible. I got a few. And again, it's not like there's something magical about this particular extension over that particular extension. It's just whatever reaches to get the job done. But it would be nice to have the same length on both. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you can do it with no extensions, that's kind of an ideal setup because you don't want any more mess in there than you need. So if you use an extension for radio setup and then you have to come back, see how my arm is? If that prop started, it would be kind of a bad day for my arm. But I don't suspect it's gonna start because it's never actually chimed. Which leads me to believe it's probably disconnected. Should be annoying.
That'll be super fun.
Channel 3 is elevator. Pay no attention to the gal. It's gonna be hard to grab that. Forceps. Okay, so I don't remember which one's which, but we'll plug one of them into this and then it's either right or it's wrong. Okay, color for color, brown is to my left. Okay, that's the elevator. Got lucky. And then the next one is channel 4 in this case, which is going to go to the rudder. Oh, you know what it could be? I wonder if this is one of those ESCs that has to be way below 0. Okay. Just listen. Okay, that's backward, and the battery is about to run into all of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and resituate this slightly so that you guys can see at home. And then I'm gonna just double check everything is throttle cut. We are bound now, so that's kind of nice. Okay, so let's try this again. Obviously we need to get all this crap out of the way, and we're not spatially aware yet because we haven't activated AS3X and save. So we're just gonna kind of work our best. We're gonna unplug this. Oh, good lordy lord. Plug it back in. Throttle cut's on. Throttle cut. Now watch this. Okay, I have this held. Okay, minus, yep. So minus 110. Okay, so it armed. Now watch what happens. When I shut off the throttle cut, it may start. Yep. Okay. So it looks like, see about 6. See that? See how it shuts off at minus 110? Okay, so I'm gonna unplug this and we're gonna set the throttle range. Okay, so it's unplugged now. So we're safe. I'm gonna set that back to 0. Okay. I'm gonna shut off my throttle cut. I'm gonna move my throttle stick all the way up, which sounds dangerous because, you know, if you do it wrong, it is. If you do it right, it's not. This is how you do it. Okay, now we're gonna set the throttle range. Was it going the right way? Felt like it was blowing air at us.
It did feel like it was blowing air at us.
Okay, so careful.
Yes.
Plugged in. Okay. Look what I'm doing with the stick. Down. Now we wait. We wait. 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 5 clicks, 6, 7. Okay, good, so that should be good. All the way up, all the way down, no activity, throttle cut's on. All the way up, all the way down, we're gonna just unplug the power. Some of these ESCs are programmed different than others. Plug it in, wait for the startup. Throttle cut's off. 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 5 clicks, 6 clicks. Got to give it a second to respond. 7 clicks, 8 clicks, 9 clicks, 10 clicks. All the way up, all the way down, see nothing. Okay, so I'm gonna recenter that. Sometimes you have to give it a little bit of trim for it to work. Okay, we're gonna unplug this again. We're gonna try the throttle. There is an advantage we have on this particular plane over other planes, and that is it came with an ESC manual. Remember, building these planes is a pain. There's a lot of steps. You gotta work through one at a time. Okay, so just if you could read that to the audience real quick, that'd be good. Okay, or we could, oh, there's that. Solder an extra wire to the positive for sake of best use the circuit. Okay, whatever. Initial throttle calibration. Turn on your radio, push the throttle stick to its maximum position, connect the battery, wait about 2 seconds, the motor will beep for 2 sets of 2 quick, pull the throttle stick to the lowest position. Ah, shoot, I didn't do it quick enough. Okay. We had to do that with the PT-17 too, now that I think of it. Throttle cuts off, sticks up. All the way down. Set. Okay, now we wait for the boot. All the way up, all the way down, nothing. Throttle cut. Okay, unplug. Okay, now plug it in. Okay, so the braking is off, or it's on. Throttle cuts off. Okay, braking is on. Throttle cuts on. We accidentally turned braking on.
Is that good or bad?
It's fine. Shut off the throttle cut, sticks all the way up. We got to go into that first setting. We'll listen. After the beep, 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 beep. Then it's gonna beep, 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 down. Okay, now it's arming. Now we got that high tone at the end. Okay, so beep.
Yep.
Okay. A lot of vibration, throttle cuts on and tested. Okay, so now that we know we can trust our equipment, we should be able to work around it. We'll be super careful. And obviously this prop is way out of balance right now anyway. So that's the first thing I want to deal with, because I need to make sure that the thing isn't going to like rip off the motor while we're testing. And camera crew, would you mind that paperwork fell?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm just, I'm loosening the mount on the prop, okay? So it's just finger tight now, okay? So the first thing, careful. Throttle cut is off. A little bit of throttle. Okay. See how much wobble there is on that? Mm-hmm. You can definitely feel a lot of wobble. And I think it's throttle cuts on and tested. It's kind of weird. I wonder if it's just the spinner itself.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be bad if it was. So I'm gonna take the prop off, and then I'm gonna just look at the shaft. Okay guys, let's look at the shaft. Can't help but feel like that's definitely got a little bit of wobble to it.
If it's going backwards.
It's going the right way.
Oh, was?
Yeah, it's going the right way. There's definitely vibration on that stator. See that? Mm-hmm. You can see that. That's gonna be very hard to correct. Now, I don't know if it's just the spinner or if it's something else, but I can tell you this. You remember how there was that piece that we had, and I was like, what's that for? Or you might have said, like, what's that for? I want to see if this also spins. So step back just a little bit. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so this spinner has a lot of vibration in it. So I went down and found a screw that's gonna help me to use a nut instead. I got two options. This happens to be a nylock. And this thing came with the plane. I just found this in stuff I had lying around. You know what? I'm gonna just use a regular nut for now, because it'll be a lot quicker for our test.
Oh, okay.
Testing.
So like you could just use that in place of the spinner thing.
Well, that's what I'm gonna try to do. But the thing is, I need to tighten it down real quick. Mm-hmm. And then all I'm trying to do is just diagnose if it's actually the motor mount or if it's the spinner. And I think it's the spinner. Okay, are you secure? Mm-hmm. Look at that thing.
Wow.
I mean, I can see the shaft moving. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. Look how much it wobbles.
I don't know how much you'll be able to see it on camera, but you can tell it bounces.
Okay, yeah, there's definitely a lot of movement. Movement like that is not gonna be okay on a plane. It's gonna cause everything to vibrate like violently. So we have to fix that. And I'm not sure if it's just mounted on there cockeyed or... So let's take a look at this a little bit closer. Now that we have everything hooked up, even though it's not hooked up right yet, we can at least look at it. Oh yeah, I can see the wobble now. When I just really get in there close, let's see if we can give them a shot. Okay. Okay, so you guys see that? Look, see it wobble? Camera crew, you can have the dark marker. It's over there by the XBC on the table. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys a trick that you probably have already seen. Okay, camera crew, you wanna hold this?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Now watch this. Okay. I just marked it. What did I mark? I just marked the high point, the point that's furthest out of whack.
Oh.
Okay. See that? Mm-hmm. Now you guys, you'd be like, just Brian, buy another one, Brian. Not doing that. Too cheap. Oh my goodness. We're not there, but we're a lot better off than we were. If you guys could feel the difference in vibration, you'd be amazed how big of a difference that was. Still not right. Okay, so the other thing is, I don't know, I may have to brace it and then use another tool. But what I'm thinking about doing is bracing it like this and then just like pushing. Aluminum is actually soft. I mean, it's kind of amazing what you can do just with your hands. I don't think I have enough yet. But the other thing you can do is you can take and run a nut over the threads. Okay, like this. Then you can jam nut with another thing. Usually you'd use a nut and another nut, and then you can use a crescent to really pry on it. Like you can really support it way out here at the end of the shaft and then move it like that. Or like this. See, then you're not moving on the motor mount. Mm. You can also undo this adapter, the prop adapter. Okay, so now I'm gonna just pick a slightly different spot. I'm just going as slow as I can. First bump you feel, you pull back. Okay, so you can see where the mark is the high point. So the high point's now here. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this out to the end, probably halfway, and look what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take and make this angle like this. Okay, and that way I keep off the threads. I'm just gonna bend it. Now watch. So a little bit of wobble. Mm-hmm. Okay. That time I can see it. And this is just the process of elimination until you get it right. Okay. I think we're a lot better. Let's try that. Throttle cuts on. I don't think we're good enough but it's possible. So we need to try it.
Okay.
You're probably thinking, but Brian, are you just delaying the inevitable radio setup that you're dreading? Not really. The radio setup's like pretty much done. It's just, there's small adjustments now. And I'm a little bit dreading putting all that crap in there. Like a lot.
I'm ready to be done though.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I mean, this plane has been a pain to put together, but so was the other one from Dancing Wings. So if there's a moral of the story, the moral is if you don't have like a week to give up for this plane, then don't buy it. Okay, I'm gonna tighten it now.
Okay.
Okay, so this is like one of those times where you have to be religious about your throttle cut or you're gonna get cut. Please be careful. I'm a careful type of guy and I still have made mistakes. I have been cut by props, but small props, thank God. Okay, you good?
Yeah.
Throttle cuts off. Goodness gracious, that is powerful. That's like 75% throttle.
That's crazy.
I know, it's like too much power. I don't even think it needs that much power. That's part of the problem. Okay, so throttle cuts off. Okay, next problem, the blade's not even. Bend the tip. You have to differentiate between them, okay? So I'm gonna mark the tip of 1. Throttle cuts off. And you have to be close to see this. I'm looking for a backdrop. These backdrops are all crap. I need something white so I can see the blade wobble. How about a napkin? A napkin is white. So like this, all I'm doing is I'm just lining this up and I just need that in my sight. So it just happens to be that that's where it is, what I'm looking at. Yep, I can do that because then I can see the blade tip as it passes by that plane and I'm lining up my eyesight with that and I just look for whichever one needs to be fixed. Okay? Hold on. Yeah, that is most definitely going the right way. Jeez.
That's so crazy.
I know, it's powerful. You know what? That's manageable. It's not perfect, but it's good. I feel like there's still a heck of a lot of wobble on that for being brand new. That's uncommon to have that big of a wobble. But honestly, the spinner might be able to go back on. So let's try that now that we've taken some of the wobble out of there.
Oh,
by the way, the throttle cut is on and it is tested. I test it. I usually call it out every time, but then that gets kind of annoying to hear 50 times. Okay, so I actually don't mind the way it looks without the spinner. So if we end up doing it without the spinner, that's fine. With just the nut. I feel like it matches the style of the plane a little bit better without. Okay, careful. I fully suspect this to be garbage.
Okay.
Okay, throttle cut is back on. I need to reposition my body. Okay, you good? Throttle cuts off. Garbage. Throttle cuts on. Terrible. That spinner's garbage. It's the spinner that's, I knew the spinner was part of it. I just didn't know it was that bad.
Right.
So we're gonna take that off. And that, I mean, I'm not gonna throw it away because I don't throw anything away.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Why would we throw away garbage?
Why would we throw away something that will never work?
Garbage.
There's a plane someday that won't matter. This is not it. Okay, so now we put that little washer thing. This did come with the plane, by the way, this washer. The nut did not. That is my nut. I'm providing that nut. Didn't you just complain about that 30 seconds ago?
You didn't say the nut was garbage.
Okay, that's tight. Now I need to re-verify things. Sounds cool. %, 100%. 66%, 50%, 45, 39, 25. There's a really nasty oscillation around 25, 26, 20, 27%. Is terrible. Throttle cuts on and tested. So from here, what you can do is you can also try to balance the prop. Yes, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Ironically enough, and I know you guys are gonna hate this, some of you guys are gonna scream about this, and that's too bad, so sad, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna listen to this and you're gonna think that's the stupidest possible way of doing it. I've done it a million different ways. I've been doing this 30 years, whatever it is, I understand. Okay, I'm glad that you did it for a long time and you're very good at it. Probably better at it than I am.
Then you
So now I'm gonna show you the way I'm gonna do it. Because I have a balancer and I've done it and I've had just as bad results.
Yeah.
Either way. So now, test method 1. We have a piece of tape. Yes, I know, it's a piece of tape. How sophisticated could that possibly be? It could be the difference between win and lose. We got a little mark on this side, so I can differentiate, okay? Now we're gonna balance the prop. That's way too good to be true. That was amazing. Okay, throttle cuts off. There's 27. 27's a terrible spot. And that was a big improvement. I'm gonna go back to 27. Throttle 6 down, throttle cuts off. Now, we're gonna take that same piece of tape, preferably if you can get that same exact piece of tape, and you're gonna peel it off and put it on the other prop blade. Okay? So yes, it's not gonna be the permanent fix. This is just to help us to diagnose where the wobble's coming from. Okay. All right, so yes, I have a prop balancing tool. It's got 2 wheels on one side, 2 wheels on the other, and a shaft that goes through. You put the blade on and you see when it balances, you've got a balance, right? I've had mixed results with it myself. Throttle cuts off. Going back to 27. Terrible, way worse.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Definitely.
Okay, so we've established that it's out of balance and we've exaggerated the out of balance, or it was balanced. Okay, now let's compare and contrast. Same piece of tape is right there. Throttle cuts off, going to 27%. Terrible, okay?
Right.
Terrible,
Yes.
Even worse than the one piece on the wrong side. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, I can tell there's room for improvement, okay? So you see this piece of tape? See about how long that is? I'm gonna take it just a little bit longer, like 50% longer. I'm gonna cut it. Cut it for clean so that it's easy to peel. I'm gonna go out a little bit further. I'm gonna put it on there very flat so that it doesn't come off easily. And then I'm gonna try my very best to get a sharp edge and work my way across, okay? Now, you might be thinking, that seems like a lot of tape to balance a blade. Yeah, I agree. Okay, going to 27%. See how much better that is, guys? I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better. Now, what are we gonna do next, camera crew?
More?
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna go about mostly the same amount on the same side, okay? Yes, this is not a flawless system, it's just a system. It's just what's worked for me. Okay, This is probably gonna be overshooting, meaning we've gone past where we needed, it's gonna make it worse again. Throttle cuts off. That's 27.
That's 27 right now?
Now let's go to 100. There's 55. I think we're gonna be at 60 for about max, but we're gonna wanna be cruising around. That's 46.
It was really bad at like 45, 46 before too.
70, 100. That's night and day better. Throttle cut, I guess we're gonna do some more. This prop is terribly balanced. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what are we gonna do? Half again again.
Do you think it needs more?
Yep. Why do I think it needs more? Because I'm a good guesser.
Oh,
Okay, so there's 3 pieces. That is an incredible amount of
crazy.
imbalance.
Yeah.
Okay, throttle cut's on, now it's off. Good. Folks, there's 27%. Okay, let's show you 50. That's 50. 70. 100. I mean, way better. I hate to say it, more. That's a lot of tape, holy cow. And I just keep getting smaller and smaller. And the idea is you don't want to change the shape of the prop any more than you have to get the job done. So now what you can do if you want to make this a permanent solution is now you take and sand the edges of the other side to remove the weight to balance it. Now, we're not going to do that because I'm too lazy.
Right.
Throttle cuts off. There's 27. I feel like we made it worse. Throttle cuts on.
I agree.
So that means that we overshot. That's what I expected 2 steps ago. So now I'm gonna go to my last piece. I'm gonna go to my last piece and I'm gonna peel it off. Now if you screw up the other piece below it, which I did, see how I screwed, so this is too much. Okay, but then the piece below it, I also got a little bit of action on, so I'm gonna take it off too. Okay, now watch what I'm doing. I'm just gonna take this off. This is critical, guys. You gotta do these picky steps on an ARF or you will have bad results. See how long this piece of tape is? Watch this. I'm gonna take and go this piece of tape plus just a hair longer. So, why?
Because it probably could have been a little better than that step, but your 4th step
Yep.
is too much.
Exactly. Okay? Now the other thing is you can add less weight out here, but then sometimes you're out of balance down here. But I'm not gonna get in here and try to pretend to dynamically balance this blade. It's a freaking blade that costs $3 at the store.
Right.
I also disagree with this choice of prop. For the record, they put on this plane a 12.6, which is crazy.
What would you do?
I would have done a 12.4. I would have done a more of a slow flight prop. Okay? Okay, here we go. There's 27. That's 41, 51, 60, 70, 100. Now also throttle cuts on. Sometimes when you overshoot, it's easier to add just a little bit on the other side. So that's what I want to do now. So we're going to take about just a real small amount like this. And this is probably not the best way to do it, but it's the way I'm going to try it today. And I'm going to go way out to the tip, okay? Just a little teeny bit, hardly any, okay? I want to see if there's an improvement because I felt like, you know, we were right there, but it's going to be too hard to get that exact adjustment, okay? There's 27. Did not help. Did not help. So that's promising. That means we did things right. But what that tells me is, what I want to do is I want to do a small piece of tape and I want to go more inboard on the prop this time.
On that opposite side?
Yep, on the big prop. So I'm going to do a bigger piece, but again, I'm going to go on this side And I'm gonna go way inboard. It's harder to get them to go here because of the irregularity of the shape. It's more complex. So to get a flat piece of tape to seat there is harder. Okay, now we're just, remember, this just gets a check. If you're wrong, it ain't gonna work. If you're right, it's gonna be better. And if you're wrong, then just fix it. 27. Once you get past about 30, that's 60. There's 100. Okay, now the other thing you gotta remember is there is a certain amount of moviness of this. And that's a long lever. It's gonna oscillate all the way down. And it's just the way it works on levers. Throttle cuts on. I didn't feel like that helped enough.
Nope, I agree.
So I'm gonna take that off and half again. So guys, this is the dinking around process that you have to do to get the best results possible. So when you're like, how come your plane works so much better than mine? I don't know, because I got lucky or I did that. I mean, whatever. It's just one step. There's 400 other steps. You might do a lot better job on the rest of it. Worse.
Yeah.
Can immediately tell. Okay, so that's good. Okay,
so you just take that one off and go back to like where
I can take it off. Yeah, I can take it off. Sometimes you get to where you need to be. Now, the other thing is, I want to balance a little bit more down here. So that means I need to go more inboard. I want to see if I can do just a little teeny bit more, because I feel like we're on the cusp of almost perfection, where we can get rid of that 27% being an issue at all. Okay, so that's just a small piece. That's only about a 1/4 inch. And yes, this is just back and forth until you get it right. There's 27. It's hard to tell. I don't know if that was an improvement or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one.
Here's how you can tell. If it was an improvement, then we can add another piece. And I mean, I've done this on EDF fans, guys. I've done it on every type of prop that I've had, and I've had good luck. I've done it on spinners.
Worse.
Really? The other thing too is this is gonna make for a lot more efficient motor operation. Were you thinking not?
I felt like that was worse that time.
Really? Okay. Okay. All right, so just to satisfy my curiosity, I'm gonna take it off. Try to do one step at a time. You try to do 2 steps at a time, makes it incredibly hard. You have to have a great memory. There's 27. Again, 27 is the literal worst percentage that I can find in the whole throttle band. I could just mix out 27%, so it goes from like 25 to like 29, so it just skips over it. It'll seem like I'm jerky on my throttle, but you guys would know that I'm not. Okay, so I'm gonna just go one more small, like 1/4 inch wide piece, and I'm gonna favor it toward the inboard portion, okay, of the tape that's already on there. And we're gonna see what it looks like. And yes, you just kind of have to do this yourself. You can't just match what I did.
Right.
Nope, worse. So I guess that's the way it is. Now the other thing too, guys, if you're watching and you're trying to follow along with this, I'm gonna peel this off, and then that's done. The other thing you can do is you can take now and you can determine how much weight you need to take off of the other side if you want. And you can start working these pieces off by taking material off, then taking off a piece. Taking material off, taking off a piece, and just work your way back until you get to a point. Now this jaggedy edge on the end, that's pretty crappy. But I can tell you that a large part of our problem on this plane is the fact that the actual shaft is bent a little bit. And that's why we have we have this unusual response where we have a certain curve point where it wobbles and then it doesn't wobble in the rest of the range. Typically the wobble gets worse and worse and worse and worse as you spin faster if it's just an out of balance prop. The other thing to watch for, which is really hard to demonstrate, is basically watching this spin. Throttle cut is on and tested. And what'll happen is you'll see one blade that's over here and one blade that's over here. So you have to bend the one back or bend the one forward or bend them back till they're centered. So then you get an even output. The other thing I'm not liking about this plane is the fact that that thing looks like it's 90 degrees. That means it's gonna have tremendous torque roll. And again, another reason why you wouldn't use a steep pitch prop, because first of all, I don't think it needs that power at all. It's gonna be like way too powerful. We also are on 4S. If you were on 3S, you could get away with that, more aggressive pitch on the prop, but it's gonna draw more current through your electronic speed control. All right, so let's look at our settings on our takeoff flaps, landing flaps and all that. That is freaking sweet. Okay, so let's talk about, actually let's go ahead and, actually I'll come around here so I can sit on the bench, and we might take a quick second, clean things up and come right back. All right guys, so we're gonna look at setup of the flaps now, which are the leading edge slats and the flaps. Oh crap. Wanted to make sure that wasn't gonna get pinched. So the first thing we have to do is get all the servos moving in the right direction. So servo setup, reverse. Okay, elevator's wrong, so let's go to elevator and flip it. So there's up, there's down. See how it changes the absolute position? That's super annoying, but it happens on a lot of planes. Okay, rudder, wrong, flip it. Correct, correct, that's correct. But we need to change the absolute position, so we might as well get on with that right now. Phillips screwdriver. Oh shoot, do we have it all over there?
Oh,
Yeah.
I bet it got put in the drawer.
Nope, it's right here.
Oh, that
So
one.
we need to adjust the actual clamp point, because later when you go to take off, the AS3X and safe may actually point that down when it's on the ground like that, trying to bring the tail up. So in this case, if you're not sure which one it is, just move the stick. See this? And I gotta undo this and then let this up a little bit. Look what I'm doing. See, I'm just pulling this up and then I'm just gonna tighten the screw. Now it goes up and it goes down just like you expect it to, except it returns to the neutral position that you want it to be at, which is, and I'm trying to get in there to tighten it. Oh, geez. Okay, so that's tight. Up, down. Okay, so now we're gonna look at the next axis, which is roll left, roll right. So that is correct. And roll your radio. Just do it like some sort of a noob and you'll feel better when you know for sure it's working. So that's definitely rolling left. And by the way, this is the #1 reason you're gonna crash in ARP is you have your ailerons flipped. It's super easy to do. I don't know why, even with lots of experience, it's very easy to make that mistake. I've made that mistake on more than one occasion and not when I was new. I did that when I was new too. Okay, so roll left. That's gonna bring that wing down. It's gonna bring that wing up. Okay, roll right, that wing up, that wing down. Just think it through, think it out loud. Now, flaps are also backward, okay? But that doesn't have to be rotated because look, I can go in and just do it this way. Go to flap system, change this to plus. Actually, I want to put that to 100. And I want to change this down quite a bit. Probably like 8, and let's do 6. And then this needs to be minus 100. And why are we doing minus 100 and plus 100? Well, first of all, we don't know what we actually want it to be, but you can make an adjustment between the two now. Leading edge slats and the flaps do not have to be equivalent now, okay? So that would be obviously not correct given the position of the ailerons, because remember, this is the way we're gonna be flying. So that's gonna be like a spoiler right now, okay? But the leading edge slats are perfect, okay? Takeoff setting, that looks pretty good. Landing setting, that looks pretty good. But it looks like we're overdriving the servos a little bit. So now our neutral position needs to be a little bit different on flaps than it does from. So I'm gonna go to the middle, and the flaps need to be backed off to like, probably, let's just do 100, clear. And then the leading edge flaps, slats, okay. That's pretty close on the flaps. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to flaps. Now look at this. Watch the flaps as I turn this knob. Dang it. See what I'm trying to line them up? Mm-hmm. Okay, now take off flaps, landing flaps. Take off flaps, no flaps, okay? Now the other thing is, look at this. Now we can go in here and look at the flaps, the leading edge slats. I'm walking them back. I'm listening for a hum. And a hum that I can hear, you guys won't hear on your mic, and it's where I can tell the servos are bumping. Too much. It's very subtle. I wish you guys could hear it, but you're just not gonna be able to hear it. Take off flaps, landing flaps. Okay, so now I'm at you want to show them from the side here what I'm seeing? So I'm at 125%. Okay, so here's normal flight mode, take off flaps, landing flaps.
That's so cool.
It is super cool. Okay, so now ailerons, roll left, roll right. And you'll note that there's a disparity here. That's because the shape of these is slightly different than the shape of these. Same thing here. Shape of this is different than the shape of this. And the exact position of the cut for the CA joint. Or this, I mean the CA hinge. So that's what you're seeing over there. That's why when I leveled the flaps, you're seeing this disparity here compared to the disparity there. That's not actually with the difference between, in your case, the inboard flap and the aileron. What you're seeing is just the difference in mounting position. And so that's why there's a little bit of an error. That's my fault. Okay, so elevator up, elevator down. Okay, so let's talk about the rudder for a minute. The rudder is not centered, okay? And it doesn't like coming back to center either. That's not uncommon when there's a lot of heavy loading on a small servo. Disappointed in the servo choices for the rudder on this plane. They used a 9-gram servo, probably should have had at least a 13-gram metal gear servo, which would have been the same size as a metal gear servo, or as what they used. But I honestly think that what would have been even better is if they use like maybe a 20, I think it's a 20 something, 25-gram servo, like one more size up. I think they call that like a standard size. Okay, so now I just need to center that. Try to tighten this without moving it. Can you move that just a little bit, that rudder?
Towards you or towards me?
Away from me, just a hair. No, that's too much. Back a little bit. There you go. Okay, hold still. As much as you can. Okay, so let go. Yeah, that's way better. Okay, so rudder left, rudder right, roll left, roll right, elevator up, elevator down, take off flaps, landing flaps. That is freaking cool. Okay, so now that we have all that stuff done, normally at this point we would be setting up AS3X and safe, which we are going to set up, but we have to actually figure out how to mount the receiver. I am quite nervous about it because look at this beautiful canopy area. This cockpit is so cool. And it's like, where the heck is this thing going to go? There's a lot of crap to fit in there. And then to make it so it's still serviceable, I don't know. The other thing I noticed is there's a slight disparity in the position of these leading edge slats, and I hope it doesn't cause a problem. And I think it's small enough that it's going to be maybe not a huge deal.
I'm like not seeing hardly any.
I'm pretty picky, hon.
Oh, I know.
That actually worked. I just literally grabbed it and pulled it right.
Okay.
Okay, good enough for me.
Okay.
Okay, so remember our glue joints here that we glued earlier?
Yep.
It's probably set up, but I'm just gonna leave this tape for now. Oh man, I really want it gone because I want to see how cool it looks. Okay, unplugging the battery. So now the reason I took that off is because our other battery is actually good. It's charged, which would be the 2200 4S, okay? Now remember how I was saying there's too much power? Always better to have too much power than not enough.
Right.
100% of the time that would be true, okay? Now we have too much wire here, so we can go ahead and start eliminating some of that if it's possible. Okay, so we have these Y splitters are too long, okay? So our first order of business is we have to have an approximate idea of where everything's gonna go. And then we have to kind of basically, did you happen to put Y cables away?
Not this time around.
Okay.
Just the extension cables that
Oh, those are extension cables?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna grab, I've got this Y cable, which is shorter. We may need some shorter Y cables because this is shorter. You know what we can do? We can switch. This is for leading, that's the flaps. Left flap, right flap. Watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take out the extension cords. Okay, these extension cords can go bye-bye, and we can find one that's bigger than that and take the extension cord right out. You know what I mean, Gene?
What? No.
I'm gonna take out the extension cord and that's gonna clean it up. Okay, so the extension cord on the ailerons is gonna go away. Then this is gonna be the new Y cable for the flaps.
Oh, okay.
So left flap, right flap. Remember, having long cables is super nice when you're doing setup, and then it's terrible every other time because it just gets in your way like crazy. So it's always nice to have a handful of different cable extensions for testing. Okay, so that was channel 6, right? Okay. And I just want you guys to note that there's nothing in channel 5 and there's nothing in channel 8. So that means technically you could do the same configuration and have retracts. That'd be nice if you needed them. Okay, so that's the Y cable extension is gonna be replacing that. That's for the left aileron. Okay, so that's plugged in nice and tight, like a toiga. And then this is the ailerons, so it's going bye-bye. Okay. Remember, this is not powered up, so we have no risk of getting chop sueyed right now. Okay, then the other aileron is right here. And you see the amount of bulk we just got rid of. That's pretty promising. Okay, so there's that. So that took care of quite a bit. Now this cable extension, this little one could probably replace the white one. That would get us in even better shape.
What Y cable do you have on the leading edge slats? Do you have a long one on those?
This is the right flap and the left flap. Okay. So now the other thing you can do is you can actually set up the right flap and the left flap, and I think you can do 4 flaps, which would buy you even more controllability in the wing type. Or you could do left and right aileron too, which would buy you more controllability as well. Okay, so now we're back to that. So now we're starting to really make some cleanup there. And then we've got, of course, the voltage telemetry, which worked out really nice. So now at this point, we need to figure out a way to kind of clean everything up. I think it'd be nice if we had like 1,000,000 zip ties to do this.
You have one out over here.
Tape.
Oh. Okay.
I know this is kind of rickety.
And it works, right?
You know, I guess we'll find out if it works.
It's that time of day again.
What, when the
where
cat
the cat
needs our
wants to
attention
go out.
for 30 seconds?
Yeah, until she realizes it's cold and rainy.
which is going to take about 30 seconds. Then she'll want to come back in. Okay. Now remember, we want to be able to take those wings and fold them, but we're not going to be able to do that if we tape this up nicely. So just keep in mind, there's always a trade-off in model aircraftdom. Now this is going to leave tape residue all over this Something Fierce. That's why I'm leaving tape tails to pull this off. This is a very nice receiver. Probably a little bit nicer than I need for this application. I feel a little bit bad putting such a nice receiver in this plane. This is a nice plane, but it's like, there's only so many channels needed. I've always struggled with that. It's kind of like,
But if you had a disparity in your flaps and your slats, how would you have done that?
not long enough. Now it should be long enough. And I know some of you guys are cringing at this cable management system, but I hate to break it to you, but I'm just kind of at this point, I don't even know if we're gonna have to redo anything. So I just kind of want to get it done so I can figure out if I need to redo it more so. And if you have a tail, it should be relatively easy to go back and take this back out. Now remember, this is going to be a spatially aware receiver. So you do have to make sure it's mounted somehow. How that is, I'm not sure yet at this point. Man, there are some unfortunate spots for these things. See this? That ESC, gosh, the lines needed to be longer, or the battery line needed to be longer, or both. And to be honest, probably both. I need to tip this up on end so I can see better.
Okay.
Okay, so now I'm just really struggling on where I'm gonna put everything. Now this can be mounted in a bunch of different orientations though. Problem is, it just reminds me of the Cessna. The Cessna 182. This one's being a real pain. Like the way that's going on these Y cables has got me concerned. See that one that just dropped? I need that plugged into the extension. I need that one. Shh. You're fine, cat. Hun. Was that this one? I think it was. Was this that one? I hope so. Okay. You see what I'm doing with that wire? I'm just kind of going around it so that it wraps it all. Not a perfect solution by any means. But honestly, at this point, it's like, it's almost kind of too late to change the way that this is configured. And you could go back and try to reverse engineer a bunch of stuff, but I just don't know where it would go alternatively. Okay, so now the other thing is, now that that's a huge bundle of cluster, I'm try to see if I can get this to drop down in, which is gonna be no problem to get it down in there. Now it's just a matter of where the heck do we mount it? And then how do we do it in such a way that these wires aren't so dang ugly? And then how are we gonna get a battery in and out is the next big question mark.
Yep.
Because the battery needs to get plugged in every time, and look where all this bundle of crap is. Could build an extension cord. I mean, I can definitely get my hand down there. The other thing is, I could possibly take that ESC And maybe secure it there, like that. See what I'm doing there?
Can I move your radio back so I don't?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not. It's not even powered. The plane isn't. See what I'm talking about? Like if I were to zip tie through that long opening, through the middle of that diagonal, I could zip tie one zip tie there. Then I could mount the receiver on the opposite side. I think we're gonna try that. We're gonna see if I can get it done.
Okay.
It's gonna be a challenge, because really all I'm trying to do is just hold it in that position. It's not like it technically doesn't need anything holding it at all. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, technically.
Now this does.
Right.
So that's gonna need to have like Velcro or double-sided tape, or build a block and screw it on there or something like that. So I'm gonna try to get into this pocket here. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to get it the way I've got this. I'm gonna have to bend this a little bit more.
Maybe we should teach her how to open the door.
I'm sure somebody's done it. She's being pretty annoying.
She is. Should I go let her out while you're struggling?
No, because I'm gonna get this and then you won't have it on camera and then everybody's gonna be like, hey, how'd you do that? And I'll be like, I don't know, watch the video.
I can't see your hands in the way.
Well, then hold your hand up higher.
Do it without your hand in the way.
That'd be nice if that was possible. I would love to. Okay, so you see that? Now I just need to go get my forceps, and my forceps will hopefully help me to grab the other half of that. And then this is where you need kind of like 2 sets of forceps so you can hold the zip tie and do all that stuff at the same time. See it right there? I need the straight ones for once. Wow, that's weird. I'll change my mind by the time I'm done. Watch. Got it? Okay. Got a hold of it now. Got a hold of it. Now I can pull the ESC around one side of the zip tie, back through. I want that wired down. Yep, that'll be the way to do it. Okay, so now it's hugging it. So I can let go of this. And watch, I'm gonna hold this. Got a hold of the head of the zip tie. And I can start it, hopefully. Okay, good. You guys can see how this is like rather obnoxious. That's why we get so excited when there's planes that are like super easy to load batteries in.
Yeah.
And people are like, why are you so excited about a stupid battery? Well, because we've done things like this for years. And this is nothing compared to some. There have been some that are way worse. Dang it.
What?
That's what. Okay, so, you know what? I'm not sure if I can resolve that. That basically ties the, I think that I could potentially just go with it, but the problem is I don't know that it's gonna hold it the way I want it to, because I didn't get it around the wires the way I need it. Because the wire tie is going around. Do you see what I'm talking about? There's the servo wires from back behind on the rudder and elevator are gonna be in a bad spot. So let me back in here. Let's try this again. So I could also just try tying it and see if it'll drop down there. I guess that's, you know, since we're already this far, I'm gonna have to cut it anyway if I decide to not do it this way. So why don't we just zip tie it on? I mean, it's holding it. It's not like it has to hold it any, well, except if we want a battery to be in there, we have to hold it vertical. Dang. That's pretty frustrating. Those two stupid wires, which in order to undo that, I'd have to undo the whole bundle of every other step. That sucks. Okay, so in that case, now that we've established that that sucks and we can move on from that, I want this. Hypothetically, look where the antenna come out of that cabinet. Jeez. I have no more log. I have tons of problems with where the antennas come out of these receivers. So if we were to put it there, I feel like that's a great position for that. And then that potentially leaves us room to then manipulate these wires back and out of the way so that the battery can slide into the nose. Okay, so now I have to figure out how the heck I'm gonna get some Velcro in there. Okay, so let's talk Velcro for a minute. We have a bunch of Velcro from other planes. It came with Velcro. This Velcro is useless because it's not even sticky.
We also need to talk about battery on my
How's the battery?
phone, 15%.
Okay, we'll just keep going until everything stops.
Until it consplodes.
Consplodes, that's what our son would call it.
Our 4-year-old
Explosion.
says.
Consplode.
Consplode. We're never going to correct him.
Not for a while, at least.
Never.
When kids say cute things, it's very fun. But then at some point, it'll eventually become a problem. Like, officer, my parents, they just consploded in the house. What are you talking about? What do you mean, son? The house consploded. I don't know what else to say. Oh, jeez. I left my scissors in the wrong side of town. All right, so I'm gonna cut this whole thing and I wanna be careful about the antenna. I had somebody telling me that antennae is wrong. It's the wrong use, the wrong tense or whatever. I don't know if that's tense. Is tense the right thing? The wrong tense for antennas on electrical equipment.
It's not antennae?
Yeah, it's only antennae when it's a bug, I guess. I don't know. I've never heard that in my life. And I hear lots of stupid details like that.
Weird.
I know. I've never heard that. I hope he's not wrong and just telling me wrong. And that is one of the wonderful things about YouTube. You'll have lots of people that will give you information and you're like, I hope that's right. If I act upon it, could make a fool of myself. Okay, and I'm just trying to keep my blades clean. These are super sticky Velcro. This Velcro came out of probably another E-flight plane maybe. Because I don't use Velcro for my packs, I use Velcro for my receivers all the time. Not all the time, like once in a while.
We have been doing it more, it's been working well.
It's been working nice with the AS3X and everything, like you don't notice a thing. It's just a heck of a lot easier to mount them. Oh man, it's tempting if I could like put the antennas forward and then do it that way. But then I'm just not sure. Hold on, let's try that real quick if I can. You see what I'm saying? Because then the battery could stick in there and there'd be less crap right there. Yeah, and we can maybe tie it to the side. I want to try to keep it out of the windows, to be honest. But I just don't know if that's even possible.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Ooh, that's pretty good right there. Oops. See, because now if you're not perfectly aligned, you can just adjust it because it's Velcro. And then see the people, show the people so they can see that. They're not turning on.
No, because it's too low.
Okay, that's fine. So now the next big step is how do we get the antenna controlled? The antenna you don't want to clamp onto, but you can, you know, grab them with the forceps very carefully and gently. Don't clip them at all. Don't clip like that. Just you can grab them. Okay. And then I want to try to get the antennas pulled up and out of the way. And there are 2 holes up here. See those 2 holes? And these are diversity antennas, so it'd be best to have them at 90 degrees of one another. But this is not a foamy, so it's just a little bit more work to find a good home for all this crap. So I'm just trying to, one trick if you think about it in time, is you can actually take and put like a nozzle from like a lotion bottle or a, you know, like a soap bottle. Sorry, and you can take and glue those down so that they have a home to go to. Yep.
And then feed the antenna into it.
Yep. But you have to be careful that it's not too thick because that can cause a problem too with your reception. I think on that antenna, I'm wondering if I can tape it to the edge of the window structure. You think I can get away with that?
Probably.
Where's the scissors? Are they over here? Yeah.
Yep, right here, baby.
All right, so I'm gonna take this tape because it's clear-ish, less my fingerprints. And what I wanna do is I wanna take this, oh gosh. That's carbon fiber, so you do not wanna stick to that because carbon fiber is carbon in the form of a material that is fibrous. And so if you try to stick your antenna to the carbon fiber, you're gonna basically, I don't wanna say you're gonna eliminate it, but you're gonna really largely reduce its amplitude or its sensitivity. Gosh, this is awkward. Oh my goodness. There's certain steps in these builds where it's just like, what the heck? Does this get any more awkward? Yes is the answer. Yes, always. Okay, and that's how you end up doing stupid things like this, where you have a piece of tape and you're like, whatever, just get down there. You're like, but Brian, don't you want that tape to look better? Absolutely. Aren't you gonna fix it? No. But yes, the answer to your question is I want it to look better. The reality we face is that it's a very tight spot, and when I'm done, it's probably gonna look a lot better than it does right now. And most people won't know any better, except for me. It will hurt my soul. I'll go to sleep tonight, I'll be thinking about how crappy of an antenna job I did. Okay, so now I'm gonna tape this one up in here. Be like, sorry, honey, I'm just not feeling it. Just not feeling it. I'm still worried about the antenna. Okay, honey.
I'll remember that.
All right, so this now needs to go in here like this. I'm gonna open up these fingers, stick the tape to it. Okay. Walk it inside. And if I can just get my body to work properly. Oh, you turd lover. You turd lover. Oh, you son of a biscuit lover. Turd lovers and biscuit lovers have been very popular in this build. This is awkward, to say the least. Camera crew, I wish you could do this step for me. But you'd be good at it. Unfortunately, you don't want to.
You didn't ask.
I know you don't want to. Because if I think it's terrible, you'll probably hate it even more.
Probably.
Okay, so now let's show the people where that is by attempting to find an angle. Oh, there's an angle. See where it is? That's a really crappy way of doing it. Did you ever get it to focus?
Yeah.
Okay guys, so I apologize. There's just a lot going on here. Not trying to keep you away from any bit of it, but it is like I am a realist here and I realize that we only have so many different angles we can give you. So I'm trying not to prolong the suffering for myself and the camera crew, also known as my wife, Megan. Some people really take offense to me calling her the camera crew. If you're one of those people, sorry.
We've covered that sufficiently in this video.
Have we? I don't think we did. Let's talk about Will Smith.
Most people probably won't want to though.
They won't. Well, this part might be more popular. People are always curious about radio
like
setup.
The worst part though, it's so hard to film.
I know, it's so hard to film. I feel like nobody can ever see anything.
Yeah.
Cable management's terrible
Your
to film.
giant hands weren't in the way.
Thank you.
Yep. Well, I feel like all these model manufacturers make this plane that looks super cool, and then at the end they're like, "Oh wait,
Oh,
you have
wires.
to put stuff in it." Nah, it's okay. You'll figure it out.
Well,
Sure.
I'm telling you, there's people that spend a lot of time on this step, and those people are really good model builders. And I'm going to give kudos to whoever does better on that, because to be perfectly frank, I feel like this is going to turn out pretty good. Because honestly, once you're flying, you're going to be like, oh God, look at this wires. It's going to be just like that. People projectile vomiting all over themselves. Oh, I can't believe those wires. I hate that plane. Never going to buy that plane. Look at those wires. See, that's what they think.
Right. Well, then when you get yours, you can do it differently.
No, I'm talking about the manufacturer. No, the manufacturers don't ever think about the wires.
No.
They don't care.
Nope.
That's like the engineers thinking about how to change the timing chain on a 2011 Chevy Traverse. Mm-hmm. You know, super popular car. They didn't think they'd make it that long.
Surprise!
Surprise. Yeah, right. Okay, so these wires are, I feel like if we could tie them here, we'd probably be maybe slightly better off, but I just don't know that it's gonna make that big of a consequence one way or the other. And you see the wire from this compared to the wire from that. Now I'm kind of kicking myself because that wire there, that goes right there,
Yes.
that would be probably better if it was under the zip tie.
Oh.
Because you see, I'm gonna go to put a battery in here and look what's gonna happen.
Where is the battery going now?
Well, that's where I assume it's going.
It's secured
Through osmosis.
by magic.
Yes, that thing. Through osmosis. Now, I have made battery traps in other cases. Ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha, ha ha.
I'm so glad we've kept that for 14 years.
We haven't had this for 14 years.
12.
So, okay, what I'm thinking about with this is something like, you know, it'd be nice if there was a pocket in there to receive this, like a nice, easy way to load it and all those fun things. But really what's probably gonna happen is I'm gonna be satisfied with like anything that just rams in there and keeps it from moving, okay? But I don't want it to ram in there and keep it from moving such that it hits the bind button, okay? Because if you're hitting the bind button, that tends to be a bit of a problem in our experience. Okay, you see that? I just don't know. I wish there was like a better way of securing that, but let's just pretend that there isn't. Let's pretend there isn't. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Oh my goodness, that's gonna suck to plug in. It's gonna be terrible. I don't usually use adapters, but when I do, no. I have some adapters, but all these adapters are completely wrong. I just need an XT60 to IC3, because that would really make my life easier. Like, it doesn't even need to be huge. Huge.
Okay.
That's totally wrong. It's the backward way.
Of course it is.
Okay, so this battery has been trapped in there, sort of, but not really. But show the people at
Doesn't seem
home.
very trapped. Wait. Oh my gosh, I can't see anything.
Yeah, that is not gonna work very good, is it?
No.
Okay. So now we have to try to drop this in here. Okay, and then how the heck are we gonna plug that in? I just don't know if that's possible. I don't know if it can be done.
Not easily. I'm gonna search. Where's my one?
I think I've got one here that might possibly, maybe, possibly. Ooh, 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 look. It's an XT60, which is gonna work, maybe, if we're lucky. Oh my goodness, that's a terrible spot to have to plug in at. Holy cow, that's terrible. That's horrible, horrifyingly difficult. Is our cat like having a spaz attack down there? What's the deal?
She is.
Okay, that's a little better. Then check this out. Careful. Just kidding. Didn't
I
happen.
would probably cry.
You would? Me too. It'd
yeah.
be great. We could share that terrible failure. That extension cord works pretty good.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we have technically everything built, we're just gonna make sure this drops in there, and then we're gonna spend a couple minutes putting crap away that's in the way in every direction. And we have the throttle cut on and tested. Don't happen to bump that there, camera crew. So we got to get our CG figured out now. Oh my goodness, that is redonkulous. Wow, that's terrible. Terrible. Get in there.
My prediction, do you know my prediction?
What?
We'll stop to clean up, and then like 2 hours later, we'll come back and you will have like redone all of the cable management.
Why would you guess that?
Because I know you.
I don't know. This one's pretty bad.
Yeah,
like
I'm
it's
not
pretty
sure there's
rough.
a lot you can do.
I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, it still looks pretty freaking awesome if you ask me.
Well, yeah.
I think it looks sweet. And yes, it's energized. It is radioed up, but it's not done. We still got to do the safe setup NAS3X. And we're gonna pause and clean up and do that right now. All right, guys, so we just got done cleaning up, switched cameras because our battery was dead. So on the Storch, we've got, oh, and the only thing I did different is I put that chair in there. I just laid it on top of the big bundle of crap. And then also we off camera checked the CG, so I just wanna show you the CG. As it sits with the 2200 forced all the way forward as far as we can get it. On the back, center of gravity mark, which is 75 millimeters. That's how it lays. So I think it could use a little bit more weight, but show the people where my fingers are. See, I'm on that back point. Now on the front point, it's definitely feels a little bit tail heavy. Okay, so I'm thinking that we might wanna actually maiden this on a bigger battery, like 3200, maybe even a 4000, but a 2200, maybe even just go up to like the 50C, just see if we get a little extra weight out of it. But we're gonna play with that off camera, and then you guys will know because you will have already seen the maiden at the beginning of this video. But at this point, we're getting ready to set up AS3X and safe. And I just wanna point out one other thing. See this gap? See that gap?
Yeah.
That makes me nervous. I've never had a plane that didn't call for attaching it at that spot. That just seems like a pretty obvious thing. So I am like really not sure what to do. And my thought is, even worst case scenario, we may have to just put a shim in here, tighten it, so that we can get this back in. Because look what happens. When I lift the wings, it closes that. Okay? So everything's hunky-dory until you get into a negative G load.
Right. And that seems
like maybe not the best,
not great.
you know, setup. Okay? So what we're gonna do is we've already got all the radio setup done, with the exception of AS3X and safe.
Can we point out the sunset? I keep just like panning and not watching you in the background.
Oh, well,
It's, like,
it was
super pretty.
way cooler just 2 minutes ago.
It was 2 minutes ago.
Sorry that we missed that by not mentioning it, if that's the case. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna quick blast through this. We just went over this a minute ago, so we're gonna show people this. Elevator up, elevator down, roll left, roll right, yaw left, yaw right, take off flaps, landing flaps, extra throw, even more extra throw, okay? Little bit extra, neutral, neutral, okay? Take off flaps, landing flaps. I just mixed in the C, so let's talk about that real quick. So you go down to mixing. C is tied to right flap. It could be tied to right flap or left flap. 15, 15, and then on. Now, if you were to set this to a higher level, that's active currently. And then if this were set lower, you see what's happening? So I think what I want to do is I want to set that to, dang it. I want to set that to 0. If it's at 5, it gives you play both directions. But then on this direction, that's more of the like deployed out. So neutral, a little bit extra deployment, a lot more deployment. Make sense? So in normal takeoff mode, normal landing mode, a little extra deployment, little extra. Okay? Takeoff setting is where this is going to be the most helpful because it gives you more of that intermediate. So that's where I was coming up with the rationalization between 15 and 15, because it gives you just a little bit more and just a little bit more still, okay? Or nothing, or neutral, right? A little bit less, a little bit more. Hopefully that makes sense. So 15, 15 and on. C, the switch C is attached to right flap. Just to show you how this would work, if it was left flap, it'd be the same thing, okay? You cannot put it to flap, it does not work. Because look, if you go to here and you put it to flap, it just has no action because of our wing type.
Oh.
So I'm gonna put it to right flap. Okay, so now we know that all the directions are going the right direction. We have audio events set up for that, but that's not set up yet, okay? Throttle cut's obviously set up. We have the throttle calibrated in there. So everything is ready to fly with the exception of AS3X. So we're gonna scroll down to forward programming. This is one of those where you're gonna wanna grab the wheel when you exit menu in case the throttle kicks on, okay? Gyro settings, first time setup. Okay, so if you change things, you gotta go back through this again, okay? Now, when they say set the model level, I believe they mean set the model level. Set the model on its nose, and then scroll to continue. This is gonna distinguish what position the receiver is mounted. Okay, so now we can evaluate whether or not we agree with that. So they're showing it like it's sitting there, and the bind button is, yep, that's correct. That is the correct orientation within the aircraft. Okay, so now it is spatially aware. So we'll just hit continue. Gain channel. Right knob. There you go. Then we're gonna go to apply. This is where it's resetting. You can tell because it does that. You note the dance, number 1, only 1. Receiver's rebooting, it's already done. So now at this point, nothing's happening. You wanna give them a wide angle there. Nothing's happening. Throttle cuts on, throttle cuts off. Throttle cuts on. I can't tell if anything's happening.
Are you in AS3X?
Safe mode.
Hard to tell. Oh, that was flaps.
AS3X mode.
Can't tell. So, what do? Gain all the way up. Up, down, up. Elevator up, elevator down, rudder raw. Elevator up. I can tell they're going in the right direction, but you guys won't be able to see. Here's how you can see if you need to. Throttle cut's still on. My gain is all the way up. So you can click, scroll down to forward programming. Okay, you're gonna go into forward programming. Wait for things to load, have your hand prepared like on the back wheel like this. If something would, when you exit, okay? So gyro settings, AS3X settings, 1X. This is where it scrolls through weirdly. 4 times, okay.
Good job.
So now, look, pretty obvious what's going on there. Rudder goes that way, rudder goes this way. Elevator goes up, elevator goes down. Now, watch the ailerons. Aileron over there should go up when I lift it. Up, up, and then watch it go down when I go down. Down, up, down, up, down, towards you, toward me, towards you. That's correct. Now watch. AS3X correction, gain at 50, gain at 0. Gain at 50, okay? Now, we've learned that it is very uncommon to need that much output. It's almost unheard of, and it almost always immediately starts oscillation. You also note that this is pulled away, and now it's pushed in. We're gonna probably have to throw a screw in there.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I just take this off and just run one screw just to keep it from pulling out, it's probably gonna need to be 2, you know, or we can't glue it because we don't want it glued. We want this to be removable, but I don't want that coming out.
No.
So when we're done with this AS3X setup, we'll go ahead and get some screws thrown in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if you gotta take them out, you gotta take them out.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna turn this back down from, oh crap, what is that? That was weird, I must've got like grease on me from when I was doing that. So I'm gonna set that back to 1 time. Okay, obviously our gain is set to the knob, which is what we want. So now we're gonna do flight mode setup. What channel? We want it.
Safe mode. AS3X
See how it says A?
mode. AS3
You can see gear,
safe mode. AS3X
gear.
safe mode.
Next,
AS3X mode. Safe mode. AS3X mode.
okay. First time safe setup. Be prepared to hang on to the plane just in case something weird happens. We just set this, verify it is also set to gear, and it is. Continue. This is where you would make an adjustment if you wanted this. Okay, if your receiver was not mounted square and you wanted it to put you in this attitude all the time, you can make that adjustment here. If your receiver was mounted like this in the plane and you wanted to fly that way, you would do that. But ours is mounted with it lengthwise along the ribs, so it is square. But you could also have a slight asymmetry in like the edge of your fuse and you have your receiver mounted here. That's where you would do like your correction. That brings it up to its true position, so it's square. Okay, so we're gonna do next. Okay, so I believe we're done with that. Let's go back to flight mode setup. Flight mode 1, AS3X.
Mode 10, 9, 8.
Don't worry about the counting.
X mode 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Safe mode.
There we go. So it's just setting up all this stuff.
AS3X mode. Safe mode.
Now I just need to turn safe on. Self-level with angle demand.
AS3X mode.
Now it's off.
Safe mode. AS3X.
Just happens to coincide with what we have it saying right now. And there's a different set of gains for safe as there are for AS3X. Now this is where you're gonna hang onto your wheel because you can see it chirp. 2 dances. So now we have safe. Okay, so we can walk back out, clear the timer. Okay, we're gonna just throttle cuts off. A little bit of throttle cuts back on, and tested. Now we're gonna look for AS3X. It's a little bit more subtle because we turned it from 4X down to 1X. I can tell, looking at the rudder, it's moving. Looking at the elevator, it's moving. Looking at the ailerons, they're moving. Now, we flip upside down. Battery flops, so we have to figure that out. Look, safe. Now it's trying to roll us that way. Whoops. Trying to roll us that way, which is the correct way. And it brings us level. Now look at the elevator, trying to bring us level. That's the pitch it's gonna put us at. Now it's trying to bring us level, and that's the pitch it's gonna leave us at. Now you'll note that there's no correction from yaw. There's only correction in 2 axis for auto leveling. But the angle demand will limit things still in all 3 axes. Okay, so we have safe and AS3X both working. We've confirmed the direction of correction is correct. If your direction of correction in AS3X is correct, it's 99.99999% of the time gonna be right in AS3X and safe. Okay. Safe is off. Yep. Safe is on, safe is off, safe is on, safe is off. Now, the other quick and dirty way to test to see if AS3X is gonna work, or if it's on, is throttle cuts on. Elevator, safe. Ailerons, AS3X, safe, AS3X, safe. Rudder, see, no impact. The rudder has full play. So we need to set up dual rates in Expo right now. Cleared the timer again. Let's roll this thing around. Sweet plane, by the way. Really, really cool. If you guys hadn't already heard me say it the first 14 times in this video, if you want to help support us financially, you can buy these planes from the links below. You don't pay any extra. We get a small commission from the companies that we work with. In this case, we're affiliated with BitGo Hobby on this plane. And obviously Horizon on this, and the receivers and things like that. We work with them on equipment like that. Battery, receiver, transmitter. We link all that stuff at the very top of the video description, but BrianPhillipsRC.com will also have links back to video playlists as well as the links to buy. They're gonna operate exactly the same way. It's basically just following the exact link. Mm-hmm. We just have them organized in a way that when Horizon or BitGo or whoever it is that we're working with makes a change in their website, we don't have to go through and change 1,500 videos, because we literally have videos that are not updated from the last 2 changes.
And we won't be limited to the amount of characters we can put in the little video
which is
description box.
5,000 characters,
Yep.
by the way.
They will be there and stay there forever and ever and ever.
Hypothetically.
Yeah.
As long as we pay for it.
Right.
Okay, so getting back to the point, now what we need to do is we need to do dual rates in Expo. So dual rates and expo, throttle cut is on, by the way. Okay, so we're gonna set that to switch F. I'm gonna go a little bit more than usual. I'm gonna go 10, 20. Whoops. And 30. Now, why do I do more? And then we're gonna drop the rates down to like 80. The reason I am is because there's a heck of a lot of play on these servos. Okay? So there's that, there's that. Oops, I meant to do the 80 in the top setting, and I didn't. Actually, a little bit tempted to change this one to something less than 100 as well, but we're just gonna leave it at 100 with 20% expo. AS3X should take the edge off of this. Okay, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing on all 3 control channels. We'll do 10, 20, and 30. Usually we do 5, 10, and 15. Usually serves us well. It's gonna really drop the rates. Now remember, we always start in this mode, then if we need less, we can go less. If we need more, we can go more, okay? Set it to switch F. We're gonna do the same thing, 10, 20, and 30. Okay, so now we'll set that. So really the only thing left in this plane before we would take off and fly would be to potentially go in and put some screws. So I think we owe it to you guys with this long and intensive a build series to go ahead and throw some screws in because we've done everything else on the video. And we didn't time lapse it because the last time we did time lapse, we had at least one person that was upset with us. And I don't know why we let one person change our mind, but we did in this case. It was one person, right? But anyway, I'm sure there was more than one of you that like the long format video. This just gets to being ridiculously long because it'll take us like 3 or 4 or 5 days just to upload this video.
This is gonna be like a 15-hour video.
15-hour video.
Like really? If you
15 hours is a long, 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 long time. Hey, guess what we need? We have to pause and get the screws. Oh wait, RTL fasteners is just sitting here.
No, but we need to drill, right? Or what are you gonna do?
Well, I guess that's true, but we do have RTL fasteners. Why don't we just go get the ones that came with the plane so people can follow along?
Okay.
We'll be right back. Okay, so we have 2 screws left in our kit. So we're gonna see if we can make this work with just the 2, okay? So we're gonna use the 1/16 inch drill still. The reason I really like using the stuff that came with it is I know that everybody that buys this plane is gonna at least hopefully have that. So I don't feel like I'm asking you to use, can you hold that side and I'll push towards you? Like hold hard. Okay, hardly push. Push hard, hard, hard. Okay, stop. Okay, this is hitting the backside of that nut. So there's a nut on that. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hit right here in the meat of it. And then I'm gonna use an impact with a big long extension on it. I think I might not need the second extension. I think I can get it with just one. And the number 2 Phillips bit. That's kind of cool how there was a magnet there to fight me.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Why would there not be? Okay. Oh, son of a biscuit lover. Okay. So now that can't easily come out. See? Okay. So now that won't fold. And this won't pull out either, will it? Yeah, it does pull out a little bit. I need to rotate this. Okay, and gosh, it's gonna be kind of awkward to get to that one.
Especially with that magnet, it's gonna.
I have an idea though. I can take this foam that just happens to be right here, set it down like that. Did you see that where it went?
Yep, it's right here.
Thank you. It shocked the wheel.
It did.
Okay. You're good. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay. Remember, my objective is not to close that gap. If I
Right.
close that gap, this won't fit. Okay. So that makes a pretty big difference there. Okay, so now, because we're short on screws, we gotta go to RTL fasteners to save the day again. RTL fasteners, of course, as you guys know, is one of the companies we work with. We have discount coupon code in our video description below. Do you have that on the website yet? Okay, good.
I do.
So if you wanna buy any of the stuff that we use, then we'll try our best to actually link to those. Okay, so we'll probably use this. Whoops.
Yep, I
Sorry.
got it.
And then that's part of the assortment screw kit. Now this is just this kit right here. These are those kits. Okay, so this is that SM73. They're good about putting together these little kits, which just, I don't know, to me, I just don't want to hassle with it. So they're not the cheapest, but they're always really high quality. Like those are stainless steel. Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna lay those down. Now this time I'm trying to tack the back half, but it'd be nice if I could hit it right here to kind of get it on a different angle. See if that even works before I get too far. Ooh, that's a pretty small tip. Eesh. Well, probably more appropriate for the size of the screw, actually. Okay, so you see how my chair is like flopping around all over the place? That's like held in by the plastic
By the
thing
wire.
on the top. This. I'm really gonna get into the meat and potatoes, that's for dang sure. Oh my goodness. Oh man, I don't want to split that is the only problem. No, it's pretty much not gonna split by now. It'd have split by now if it was gonna split. Okay, so now what I need to do is back it all the way back off. I'm gonna back it all the way off, push the wing in, and then re-thread it. So I can push those two threads. See how there's two thread gap? What'd be ideal is you drill this hole so there's no thread bites, and then it would only bite over here. But I actually kind of like it biting both spots. That's just one more bit of protection so it doesn't back off. And plus we can keep this gap in place. Watch, as soon as I get it back, see how I'm squishing that gap now? Now I'm squishing it. Now I'm gonna squish that gap while I tighten. See, now that it's bit, now we can let go. And we can just screw this in. Nice, now look. So the only difference is the disparity here, but that is a folding wing, it's supposed to fold. But this now isn't moving.
Right.
Okay, real quick before we continue, let's make sure this thing still falls in. Which it will, or it should. Come on. Yep, not hitting, right?
Looks good.
Not hitting. Okay, so we just got to replicate that same. Now this was not in the instructions, so forgive the instructions for being so Chinese. They are. There's my screw. Whew. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's good. All right, this is where we pray that this doesn't get some like weird problem as we do it. Because if this goes, then the only thing left to do is just basically, if I decide I want to figure out some way to put a bigger battery in there, which is going to be terrible.
I thought you were going to say celebrate that it's done.
Well, I mean, there'll obviously be that.
Okay.
Which we're gonna definitely do. Gosh, I wish I could have you do that, but it's like tearing up my finger.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like hard enough to turn. Folding wings are cool until you have to do all the crap around the fold. And on an already complicated product, it seems a little bit strange that they would pick to put folding wings on it, but whatever.
And make them not really fold.
Well, I mean, they sort of fold. But I'm like, if you're gonna go through all the trouble to fold this, I want it to fold, like actually work. Okay, so there you have it, folks. That was a marathon.
Yes, it was.
Let's see if this goes. Oh yeah, buddy. I must say, sweet plane, really cool features. I mean, it is a gorgeous model. And if it flies half as good as the PT-17, which I suspect it will, I think it's gonna be definitely a good plane. It's heavy. Can't believe how heavy it is actually. So
Really?
Super excited to see it fly. Guys, you know where you found it first, even though it's been released for some time. And you've seen some other guys fly this on YouTube, but I'll tell you what, I don't think any of them went through the entire process with you. So that's what we do here at Brian Phillips RC. We bring you exactly what you want, which is long, super detailed videos that make you wonder what the heck we're doing and why it took so long. That's pretty much the gist of it. You've seen it fly, but we haven't. So if this thing crashes, it's gonna be a heartbreak because this was a ton of work. But I said the exact same things, almost verbatim, from the PT-17. And I'll tell you what, it is probably one of the nicest planes I have. So with that being said, if you want to buy one of these, check the link in the video description below. Obviously, the people we work with have been very good, in particular on this plane. We had it sitting here for a long time because we have been busy enough that we couldn't dedicate this level of time to it, and they have been super patient with us, so thank you. You know who you are. We appreciate that, and if you're watching this video, also thank you for that. You're helping our credentials by actually watching a 15-hour video. That's the first time in history. But that being said, this plane is awesome. Hopefully you found some use in it. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, if you've watched this much, please do us this favor. Like, subscribe, definitely go to the Patreon, go to PayPal, whatever it is. I mean, seriously, if there's one thing we do well on YouTube, that is making long, boring videos. So if you want more long, boring videos where we talk lots about Will Smith, you found it here on Brian Phillips RC, and obviously bringing the joy of RC aviation and aviation in general, and just the whole lifestyle of RC aviation into your very own living room, bathroom break, wherever you watch your videos.
Kitchen,
Kitchen.
basement.
basement, airplane. Like if you're watching this in an airplane, you get extra credit.
Yes.
So definitely leave that in the comments below. And definitely do leave your comments. I feel terrible when it takes me like over 2 weeks to reply to people because every once in a while there's like a really good question and I don't get to it in time. Accept my apologies. I do my best. It's really hard to keep up. And then people ask some really complicated questions and it's like, I want to help you, but it's like, I don't know if I can do that because I've got like 400 other answers that are needed. So I try my best to balance just totally blowing people off and getting you guys some level of help. And by the way, the biggest level of help that we try to provide is in the videos. So if you're asking a question, do me the best favor you can. I know this is kind of like a special circumstance because it's such a humongous video, but try your best to watch the video because it's hard for me to remember this stuff. That's why we film it. Also, we put a lot of effort into the videos. We put a lot of effort into the quality of the footage, even though this one is gonna go between 1080p and 4K because we literally ran our cameras out of batteries doing it. The flights are all gonna be in 4K.
Yep.
Okay. We are trying our best to bring you a premium product that is exactly what you're asking for, which is help setting up complex planes on radio systems that are expensive. And honestly, we get it. There's not a ton of help out there. And if you're going from, I built a gas plane that was just like that 25 years ago, except it didn't have all these cool features, we get it. We're here for you. We're gonna help get you from 0 to where you need to be, or from, you know, wherever you place yourself on the scale to where you wanna be. And if you're a brand new, excited modeler and you wanna be where I am or well beyond, then we'll help you get from where you are to where you wanna get. That's what we do on Brian Phillips RC. And we also have lots of, we say lots of things that get people confused and misunderstandings and hurt feelings. And we also talk a lot about Will Smith and different things. And
Just this week.
Just this week. But you know, that was this one video.
Yeah.
So can't forget about that.
It's true.
So in like 5 years when nobody knows what the heck I'm talking about, just look up Chris Rock, Will Smith,
Oscars.
2022.
Yep.
Right? 2022?
Yes.
Face slap. And you'll get it. I'm sure it'll be blocked by then.
Probably.
But anyway, for those of you that are just coming and you're just watching for the first time, don't worry, they're not always this long. So we hope that you'll forgive us.
Please.
We repent of it, believe me. But Dancing Wings Hobby, the Fessler FI 156 Storch, which has a 1.6 meter wingspan, and the wings do fold, and it has leading edge slats and all these cool features. This is an ARF Plus, so it comes with everything you need, except for a few random like nuts and bolts and things that like you literally should have had, but they just happen to not have in there. It doesn't come with CA, doesn't come with a battery, doesn't come with a receiver, doesn't come with a transmitter. So those are just standard plug and fly. So it's an ARF that's like a plug and fly or plug and play. So any other thoughts, camera crew? I can't wait to see it.
I think it's gonna be really cool.
It's gonna be awesome.
I'm kind of glad it's done.
I'm extremely glad it's done. These marathon builds are not very fun for us.
They are. It's a lot.
But you got what you need. Come back for more.